With the chassis sitting so low, nobody crawls out. I drag his body a solid 10 meters before finally stopping. I kick the door open, step out clutching my Desert Eagle, and walk around. Jianbong is completely out, bleeding from his legs and back. Without ceremony, I put a round right through him, kicking the yellow orb that floats up to make his water affinity mine. With a sudden rush of air behind me, I instantly vanish using Earth Escape. The car detonates into a massive fireball. I surface 10 meters away, staring grimly at the wreck. Then, gunfire and a scream ring out from where Jiang Seol lies. I spin my head toward Hangang. 3 mechanical beasts have invaded his spot, and he is already down in a spreading pool of blood. These things sport full metal skeletons and the build of a wolf. Twin machine gun barrels are mounted on each shoulder, with a dark, hollow tube on their backs resembling rocket launchers. Incredibly familiar shape. It makes my mouth twitch. They look exactly like cartoon metal wolves. It is basically a toy from some childhood cartoon, except these things are standing right in front of me. Still, I cast insight on the trio 1-star early-stage mechanical warwolves with lootable yellow entries for machine thinking and mechanical heart. With Hangang dead, the 3 mechanical beasts lock onto me and immediately go wild. Bullets and artillery rain down, creating a dense metal cage that cuts off my escape in every single direction. Explosions tear the place apart, kicking up thick dust as the ground shudders. Once it clears, only a deep crater remains. Data flashes across their crimson eyes, confirming my death. So the 3 warwolves calmly stow their weapons. Suddenly appearing behind them, I let them know it is my turn. A crimson saber slash rips through all 3, freezing them. Sparks fly as they split in half and slide to the dirt, eyes going dark. Seriously, not a single card dropped. I lost my entire car and walked away with absolutely nothing. Hanyu looted 2 cards off 2 kills, yet my luck is this garbage. Reflexively glancing at my hands. Maybe it is because I forgot to wash up earlier. Shaking my head, I walk to Jiang Seol to absorb her charm. I do not have a girl to charm, but more skills are always better. Since I did not personally finish off Hangang, no entry drops. But then, a chime rings in my head, my entries hit 20, unlocking a recycling feature. Now, excess entries recycle into upgrade points. White gives 1, yellow is 2, blue is 3, purple is 4, scaling all the way up. This is a lifesaver. I was literally just worrying about running out of points. And here is my answer. Looking over the details, a greedy exploit pops into my mind. Loot, recycle, loot, recycle. I can create an endless river of points. Before, I could not absorb duplicate entries, but now I can steal and recycle instantly. Then the harsh reality checks in. Each type of entry can only be recycled once. There goes my free lunch. Honestly, the system never lets you keep an easy exploit for long. Still, that single time is plenty of wiggle room, since traits like mechanical heart and machine thinking can be recycled and then looted all over again. I clean out my inventory, recycling the blue bloodthirsty recovery card. Since I already have super recovery, it is just dead weight. The white Taoist prodigy entry goes too, since I have no interest in cultivating the Tao. Then there is a blue rune entry that only lets me read basic level runes, absolutely useless to me right now. I recycle the blue charm trait next. Why would I ever need to sweet-talk anyone? Women only slow down my looting. Combined with my leftover points and the single point that refreshed at dawn, I now have 13. I have never held this many. I cannot wait another second to spend them. I fuse my purple ice manipulation together with my yellow water affinity to create a brand new purple entry, Extreme Cold Control, granting me a massive affinity for both water and ice. It lowers costs on water and ice skills while speeding up recovery. Next, I stack my blue traits Transcendent Body, Energy Resistance, Poison Immunity, and Super Recovery. Together with yellow Super Hearing and blue Olfactory Perception, they all collapse into a single blue entry, Divine Body. It grants super speed, strength, defense, recovery, and sharper senses, plus immunity to poisons and regular weapons, alongside a 50% cut to incoming energy damage. 12 entry points spent, and my skill bar shrinks down clean and tidy. The real surprise is Divine Body, which slaps 10 points of physique onto me, lifting it from 118 straight to 128. I check my status board. Strength is 114, physique 128, speed 123, and spirit 100. Under my talents, I have Golden Eye of Insight, Purple Zombie R, and Purple Dimensional Space. Then I have Yellow Blood Tracking, Blue Divine Body, Purple Extreme Cold Control, and Purple Earth Affinity, Blue Mind Edict, Purple Mechanical Heart, and Blue Machine Thinking. I have 1 entry point left, earning 1 more daily. With a killing value of 152 and 10 free attributes, my rating is 4-star early stage. I cannot test this new body here, but my ice can. A few minutes later, a pretty satisfied smile crawls onto my face. One fused skill really is stronger than two. My ice skill costs roughly 3 times less now. The temperature drops all the way down to -200, and recovery speed just doubled. Everything is heading in the right direction. Time to move. Without a car, I fall back on my amphibious motorcycle. Sunglasses on, swagger dialed up, and I ride out. After half an hour, I run into a robotic mob and absolutely wipe them out. 3 cards drop. But honestly, that is not even the real prize. The real jackpot is my entry points climbing from 1 to 8. I recycled a purple mechanical heart and a blue machine thinking, then plundered them both right back off a fresh T800, netting 7 points. Exploiting this loophole is just the best. 8 entry points can upgrade 2 blue entries to purple, or 1 purple straight to red. After thinking it over, I choose dimensional space. My extreme cold control is already more than enough. Dimensional space was my absolute lifeline in my previous life. Honestly, I will always have a pretty massive soft spot for it. Back when points were extremely scarce, I had to prioritize the loudest and most urgent upgrades first. But now I have a second source. Since I am flush with points, I will spoil my favorite. Just a modest little goal. I decide to push dimensional space to gold. Upgrading it from purple to red drains all 8 points, leaving me at 0. Now it grants 40 cubic meters of isolated space, allowing me to open portals anywhere within 10 meters. It stores living things for 10 minutes, and now I can step inside myself for 10 minutes too. That storage limit did not change, but that last feature is absolutely massive. Before, I could only trap others inside and observe them with my mind. Now, I can enter with a simple thought. Vanishing into my own dimensional space instead of using Earth escape, I look around the silver-white void like a tourist. I have peered into this place with my mind every day for ages, but this is the first time I am actually looking at it. With a thought, a rotating ring begins to form. It is a window to the outside world that I can slide around within 10 meters, even underground. Reaching my hand through, I can feel the blazing heat of the sun. I am absolutely thrilled. This is literally the legendary long-range fist from those old-school martial arts novels. A strike capable of hitting a target 100 steps away. I will definitely have to save up some strength for it later. Imagine punching a guy's head in from a distance without him ever knowing who did it. It is perfect for surprise cheap shots. Excellent. I step back outside, spot the ruined city ahead, and accelerate, rolling straight through the massive gates. Right away, a mechanical dog leaps at me. I just thrust my right fist forward, punching empty air. My fist sinks into the void and instantly reappears right next to the beast, slamming into its neck. With a loud snap and a shower of sparks, it drops dead, its eyes going dark. Still, I am not completely satisfied. I was actually aiming for the head, but hit the neck instead. My accuracy needs work. Time for more practice. Stowing my motorcycle, I take a casual stroll through the ruins, taking down every single machine using my dimensional space. I keep practicing the move I decided to name the 10-step divine fist, but as I turn a corner, I freeze. Ahead, the robots are tightly packed. There are T-800s, mechanical dogs, warwolves, and tons of other models. Their entries are basically identical, only differing in quality, likely because they are all manufactured. The moment they spot me, they lock on. Gunfire and heavy artillery erupt, sending a massive storm of bullets and shells tearing across the street toward me. Suddenly, the air warps, and the projectiles vanish. The insane barrage continues for 3 full minutes before finally fading away. The machines stare at me, completely untouched. Their internal processors are practically frozen. Nothing in their coding explains how a human can survive that without a single scratch. It is completely unscientific. Amused by their shock, I just grin. No need to rush, guys, because the real show is only starting. The air twists once more. A torrent of returned projectiles materializes out of nowhere, hammering the metal army as massive explosions swallow them whole. One T-800 survives the blast and limps out. Then a second, then a third. Soon, most of them manage to escape. Only a few unlucky machines are left behind, their critical data cables completely severed by the shrapnel. Realizing bullets will not work on me, their combat logic tells them to switch to melee mode. They march forward, and I grin. Close combat suits me just fine. Lifting my feet, I casually take a stroll right into their path. While most T-800s survived, every mechanical dog and warwolf is completely wiped out. Seeing all those valuable cards on the ground, I refuse to let them go to waste. The fastest machine lunges first, but with one quick punch, my fist vanishes and clips its head, sending it flying. That is only the beginning. As they crowd into close range, I finally show them what I am truly capable of. One gets punched skyward, another is kicked right after, and every airborne robot freezes into a solid ice sculpture. These are T-800s, machines boasting strength and speed far beyond any normal human. But against me, they are like toddlers fighting a grown man. Honestly, it feels like an old kung fu comedy where the hero effortlessly beats down an entire mob. Except here, the mob is all machines. Even their stray hits do absolutely nothing to me. They can't slow me down, not even a step. I just drift forward, collecting cards. It is a pretty wild contrast to the frantic T-800s swarming me. But right as I am enjoying this easy harvest, every single machine suddenly freezes. Their chest plates slide open, and each pulls out a glowing black rectangular block crackling with green electricity, tossing them right at my head. I spot them and freeze. My eyes instantly shrink. Nuclear cells? These machines play dirty. Reacting instantly, I tear open a dimensional rift and swallow every single incoming cell. Talk about overkill, each of these things packs the punch of a tactical nuke. Once they are safely stored, I breathe out. If those had hit the ground, suddenly, two black blocks roll right up to my heels from behind. More cells. The hairs on my neck stand straight up. How the hell did they get behind me too? Cursing under my breath, I take a quick step as my body twists and completely vanishes. Boom. Two blinding white suns detonate where I stood, brighter than the actual sky. Two small mushroom clouds rise so fast and close that their sheer force merges into one colossal column. Everything the shockwave touches, from streets to houses, is completely erased. A massive sandstorm of debris surges from the shattered city center straight out into the desert. The blinding glare takes a solid minute to fade, leaving a heavy fog of dust. Countless black flakes drift through the sky like dark goose feathers. Radioactive fallout. The nasty stuff that instantly destroys your immune system on contact. Once the dust finally clears, the aftermath is laid bare. No streets remain, just a massive, gaping crater. A few minutes later, I step right out of thin air to inspect the damage, feeling the hot aftershock wash over me. Honestly, thank God I slipped into my dimensional space just in time. Anyone else caught in that blast radius would have been completely vaporized. I am not even worried about the toxic dust in the air. At worst, I just touch the ground with my foot and heal right up. My heart sinks. Every single one of my dropped cards just vaporized with the city. Groaning, I stomp the ground, trigger Earth Escape, and vanish. Meanwhile, the chat channel goes wild over the mushroom cloud. Messages are flooding in. Some player is bragging that a survivor dropped a nuke to wipe out a swarm of robots for easy loot, while others argue that absolutely nothing can make a T-800 self-destruct. One player desperately begs for rescue, claiming the robots are trying to turn him into a cyborg. Another jokes that he would totally sign up to be a T-1000 just so he could shapeshift into whoever he wants. Soon, the entire thread completely derails into chaos. But when I spot that message about cybernetic modifications, my brow furrows. That guy is definitely not lying. Here is the terrifying reality. If that space mark disappears, you can never, ever leave this world again. There are only two ways that mark disappears. Either you die, or you turn into a monster. And I completely forgot that these machines actually modify humans. Of course, they only screen for the strong. Not everyone is actually worth modifying, meaning only powerful evolvers are worth their time. I completely bypassed this crucial piece of intel earlier. If that is true, could I actually turn this entire scheme against them? It has been nearly 10 minutes since the blast, and not a single robot has spawned. Maybe they are busy planning new tactics, but wandering these empty streets searching for them is just too slow. What if I let them capture me? A literal modification facting that place should be absolutely crawling with machines. The more I think about it, the better this plan sounds. Next step, find a target. I drive through the streets, occasionally honking the horn to attract their attention. After 10 minutes of driving, I finally spot a T-800. Honestly, it almost feels like running into long-lost family. Getting noticed around this place is honestly way harder than it should be. A minute later, I pretend to pass out, and the T-800 takes the bait perfectly. The kidnapping goes a bit too smoothly, but a brainless machine only registers success or failure anyway. Without questioning anything, the robot throws me onto its motorcycle, hops on, and drives off. 30 minutes later, we pull up to a massive industrial park. Heavy robot patrols are rotating constantly, with 8 guards standing at the front gate alone. Watching this secretly is giving me goosebumps. Big fish. Definitely big fish. The T-800 carries me inside without any trouble, straps me to an operating table, and walks out. The second the door slams shut, pipes emerge from the walls, hissing out thick white smoke. I snap my eyes open and stand up. We arrived. No more playing dead. Besides, I am no masochist who wants some machine to dissect him first. Scanning the room, I count 3 metal walls and 1 giant glass panel. It looks like a one-way mirror. Nothing else interesting. As the gas spreads, I take a step, vanish on the spot, and reappear right outside the glass. This upgraded dimensional space really is the ultimate escape tool. Out here is a cold metal corridor, and looking back, I can see perfectly inside through the glass. Similar rooms line both sides of the hallway all the way to the end. I quickly teleport right next door to peek inside. Inside? A total nightmare. A dismembered body lies on a surgical table. Mechanical arms are busy grafting metal parts onto him. A digital readout in the corner shows a normal pulse and brain activity, with the modification 40% complete. Then a geyser of blood erupts, painting the glass. The robotic arms freeze as crimson text flashes on screen. Modification 42%. Experiment failed. Causes rejection. Subject dead. Destroy at once. The glowing text flickers and dies. As the arms pull back, intense flames roar from the bed, burning the body instantly. The flames dance in my eyes, and my heart actually hurts seeing those precious, rare talents vanish in just a few seconds. That poor soul was sliced to pieces but still breathing, and I was just preparing to copy their traits before they died. My gaze sharpens as a plan forms. Why let these test subjects suffer through terrible modifications only to die anyway? It is far better if I put them down myself, inherit their special abilities, and let them live on through me. I stop hunting monsters. Next room? Empty. The one after? Not so much. Inside sits a black-haired woman on a bed, half metal and half flesh. Human skin is literally being laid over a bare skeleton, a truly terrifying sight. The screen says modification 90%. Rejection within limits. Epidermal tissue currently being grafted. With so much work done, she is basically a machine now. I seriously wonder if her talent list changed. I cast insight on this Juki model cyborg. 1 star, late stage. Stealable talents? Absolutely none. Just as I thought. Once they are almost fully modified, everything but core organs get swapped out, wiping away their original flesh-based talents. So, I need the ones who are only partially modified. Target set. I sweep the rooms and snag 3 clean entries. The others are either scrap or past the 50% threshold, which completely erases their original, valuable abilities. These machines work way too fast. Still, 3 talents? Pretty sweet. First is a blue-tier mechanical master gift, letting me understand any complex machinery the moment I touch it. Then blue metallization, turning my entire body to solid steel for defense, and yellow super mimicry to copy any human voice. I quickly absorb all 3 and leave the wing. Walking down a nearby corridor, I stop to look through some glass. My eyes go wide. Oh, you have got to see this. It is the look of a guy who just hit the absolute jackpot. Right behind the glass is an endless assembly line of T-800 models, standing in perfect, pristine rows below. Everything is incredibly organized. But then, I notice a fatal flaw. Their robotic eyes are totally dark, and the power slots in their chests are empty. I have no words. I got hyped over a warehouse of junk. After all, what is the difference between an unpowered robot and a pile of scrap? With this many, I cannot let them go to waste. As I round a corner, I walk straight into a patrol. The lead drone locks on and raises its gun. Intruder detected. Alarm triggered. Capture the intruder. Red lights flood the halls and sirens start to wail. A shot rings out, the bullet aimed right at my thigh, but I just keep walking casually as the round dissolves upon touching my barrier. With only one narrow hallway to defend, a quick dimensional distortion is the perfect tool to handle the job. 3 thumb-thick blue beams blast from my hands. A freezing ray sweeps forward, turning the air itself to ice as thick frost crawls over the walls. Within a second, the light engulfs them all. Their joints freeze solid, turning them into pale ice sculptures. Instantly, a glowing laser blade materializes in my grip. A few quick steps put me right in the center of their squad. Carving them up is as easy as slicing vegetables. Every single head drops. A white loot card floats down. Electromagnetic pulse gun. 100 rounds. Pure devastation. This is a god-tier weapon against robots. Since I do not really need it, I will store it away to trade later. I pick up a severed metal head, mess with its wiring, and a giant holographic map suddenly blooms in the air. It displays the layout of my current area. I smile. This mechanical master skill is seriously amazing. My position is marked in bright red. Seconds later, a massive swarm of smaller red dots appear, rushing toward me. The entire base's security forces are converging. I simply ignore them and scan the display for my ultimate objective, the central control room. Take that over, and this entire army is mine. Now watch this. My eyes lock right onto the coordinates. I memorize the path, kick the head aside, and slip back into the dark corridor. Over the next 10 minutes, I plow through several more waves of enemies. I have no time to waste, so I wipe them out instantly and rush forward, stopping only when I reach the final corridor. It is a steel hallway spanning 100 meters, leading directly to the control room, but there are absolutely no guards. This is too quiet. The most vital area in the complex would not be left unguarded unless this very hallway is a trap. To test it, I pull a massive stone pillar out of my inventory and throw it down the hall. It lands safely. Nothing happens, leaving me wondering if I was just paranoid. But as I walk halfway through, reinforced glass doors slam shut, trapping me inside. White light beams ignite along the corridor, raking directly across the pedestal. In a split second, that pedestal is sliced into dozens of tiny pieces. The doors slide open again, completely normal, like they were never closed. A cold smile hits my face. No guards? No wonder. They completely relied on this. Every classic sci-fi base has its laser corridor cliché. It is super effective, and normal guys could never pass. Too bad for them. I am far from normal. Did they really think a few lasers could stop me? A simple trick, using my pocket dimension to blink ahead. The lasers trigger right on cue mid-hallway, but I am already 10 meters ahead before they strike. This near teleportation lets me stroll casually through the 100-meter kill zone. Facing the sealed door, I step right inside. What waits inside is a massive open room, featuring a huge glass ring surrounding the central control console. Footsteps echo as 4 figures step out from the corners, 2 men, 2 women. Golden light flashes in my eyes. They are Tone 1000 liquid metal combat robots. 2-star late-stage lootable options appear. A purple mechanical heart, blue machine logic. Yes, all 4 are liquid metal. Why did I never hear about Tone 1000s in my past life? The answer hits me immediately. Back then, nobody ever breached a main control room without setting off alarms. These 4 are almost certainly the ultimate line of defense. While I am parsing this, the 4 Tone 1000s charge straight at me. Their arms shift, liquefying and hardening into lethal weapons, dual blades, dual spikes, dual scythes, and dual axes. With a quick flick of my wrist, I shoot out 4 streams of freezing frost. Ice sculptures stand frozen. I cannot permanently kill a Tone 1000 yet, but freezing them is as easy as breathing. Once frozen, I sweep them right into my pocket dimension. Robots have no signs of life, so they cannot be looted anyway. My space will store them forever. Same goes for Tate hundreds, though doing that is pointless when killing them drops cards. Since I cannot destroy these Tone 1000s yet, I will melt them down once I find a high-temperature furnace. I stroll right up to the main console, bypassing the glass wall with a single step. As I step in, the console projects a holographic Tate 100 and speaks in a flat, robotic drone. It announces that an identity scan is running, demanding immediate verification. A palm reader rises from the console. Staring at the buttonless surface, I go silent. This is not the plan. I figured I would just press a few keys, hijack the entire base, and command thousands of Tate hundreds. But there are 0 keys, only biometric verification. Even if I dragged a random robot over, a low-level unit would lack the clearance to command this place. Standing there thinking, I pull out a severed Tate 100 head, hack into it, and trigger a map showing where the core server sits. Time to try a little trick. A total system reset. Like any computer, a fresh reinstall fixes 99% of issues, leaving the host password-free. I cannot rewrite the base code, but resetting it works. The hologram flickers, showing the main server directly under this room in a sealed, doorless vault. An impossible obstacle for anyone else, but it does not faze me. Everything is easy now. I use my space to step right inside the server room. 3 minutes later, the facility power drops. Every single engineering robot freezes mid-task as if the entire system crashed. A minute later, power restores like nothing happened. Staring at the reset console, I cannot help but grin. No more biometrics. This means anyone who manages to sneak into this room can take full control. Not that sneaking in is simple, those laser halls and security doors would stop 99% of intruders cold. The system officially confirms the link, naming me the absolute, sole commander of this entire facility. With my first order set, I pull up a chair, sit down, and happily demand a full briefing on this base. The system complies, stating this is Factory Number 6, a massive installation designed for research, including production, modification, capture, and prisoner detention. Spanning 100,000 square meters, it houses assembly rooms, waste treatment, maintenance bays, and massive production lines. I ask if there are other facilities besides this one, and the computer confirms 8 more exist. That makes 9 machine factories in total, scattered across Xi'an, He, Zheng, Gong, and other major districts. This is slightly off from my past knowledge, but no matter. I ask how many active Tate hundreds they hold. 10,000. 8,000 of them hunt and destroy. 2,000 guard the base, while 100,000 sit idle. A massive army just sleeping. So I ask why they are not all turned on. The system answers. Nuclear battery limits. It caps daily activation at 3,000, making my frown deepen even further. 3,000 is far too slow. So, I ask how fast we can activate them if we swap those nuclear batteries for cheaper power. It tells me basic hydrogen batteries would jump that number to 5,000, but it ruins their lifespan to 80 years, and they might literally explode. Using high-energy batteries pushes the limit to 10,000, but cuts their life down to 10 years. Now, temporary power units would hit 50,000 a day, but their lifespan completely crashes to just 1 single year. No hesitation. I will take that deal in a heartbeat. A year is nothing to a machine, but for my plans, it is plenty. I keep questioning the base computer until I fully wrap my head around the whole operation. Only then do I start giving my first commands. First, recall every single T-800 from the wasteland for immediate upgrades. Second, reprogram every machine produced here to obey me without question. Next, activate all those T-800s using that cheap temporary power. Meanwhile, keep producing nuclear batteries at full capacity and store them because I have a special use for them. Little did I know, this command was about to trigger absolute chaos. Every single robot freezes. They drop whatever they are doing and sprint straight back to base number 6. This means every poor soul being actively hunted across the ruins is suddenly left completely alone. They are standing there, utterly confused. Instantly, the global chat channel absolutely explodes. It is a massive wave of survivors, swearing that a T-800 stopped mid-chase and just walked away. One guy was seconds away from being executed when his killer suddenly turned and just marched off. Another claims he watched dozens of machines sprint right past him without even looking. Meanwhile, a few unlucky souls still running for their lives swear everyone else is lying. Over here, someone begs for water. Over there, a guy tries selling a single bottle of water for a card. The entire chat just dissolves into static. I take one quick look and ignore the noise. Over the next 12 hours, the survivors near base number 6 make an even stranger discovery. The killer machines are completely gone. Not a single mechanical dog is left roaming. There is not one metal soldier in sight. Completely vanished. People are incredibly confused, but they are not about to complain. So, they immediately scatter to raid the ruins for food and clean water. After all, those two things rule every single normal person's life out here, except for me. I am the one guy who never has to stress over food or water, which means I can focus all this quiet time on something way better. New plan. I came here to grind, but now, I am building an empire. Partnering with humans never works out anyway, but teaming up with a machine army is a whole different story. Once their code is written, they literally cannot betray me. And even if some bizarre glitch made them try, I could turn the entire legion into a pile of scrap metal in a single second. Other survivors can only use this machine army inside the trial space. But you see, I am not like everyone else. I have my own pocket dimension, and now I control a literal factory pumping out loyal soldiers. The only real question is how many I can take back with me. Imagine having an entire army riding in your pocket, ready to flood the battlefield whenever you want. From now on, I do not have to do all the dirty work myself. Sure, these machines do not earn me any cards or killing points when they take down targets, but as meat shields, scouts, and extra eyes on the ground, they are worth their weight in gold. There is absolute power in numbers, and I want those numbers. While I am at it, I order the base to start researching and modifying these units. They belong to me now, and I want them way better than the factory models. For the new design, I am going to copy everything I remember about the TX. The TX features a solid metal endoskeleton wrapped in an outer liquid metal shell. This design lets it shift its entire shape whenever it wants. It comes fully loaded with built-in weapons, fixing the main flaw of standard models. Best of all, it can hijack and control other machines, making it the absolute perfect killing weapon. To upgrade the weapons, I hand over my electronic pulse gun card and order the system to completely dismantle it, study the tech, and mount it onto the TX. I have them rewire it to run off nuclear power. As long as that battery holds, this weapon will never run dry. Sacrificing one single card to save myself thousands of killing points on weapons is an absolute steal. I would make that trade any day. It is a bit of a shame we do not have time to develop laser weapons. That research would take 3 months I simply do not have. So, I drop it. I let that dream go without looking back. I send the 3 captured T-1000s straight to the furnace to be melted down. We need their liquid metal to build our new TX models. After weighing my options, I decide to scrap 3 and keep 1 in reserve. The T-1000 is strong, but its weaknesses are way too obvious. It has absolutely zero range, and it gets temporarily paralyzed every single time it takes heavy damage, while waiting for the metal to stitch back together. So, keeping 1 around is plenty. The rest are far more useful as raw materials to build a squad of TX models. As for the one I keep, I order it to morph into a tiny kitten. I make the mistake of petting it once, and now I literally cannot stop. When setting the research rules for the TX, I lay down 3 strict conditions. First, she obeys only me. Second, her base form has to be female. Third, her entire body needs reserved slots for laser weapons, plus a pair of nuclear battery mounts. I leave her exact look open since she can mimic any face anyway. The base accepts my order and starts a countdown of roughly 2 days. 2 days until my first TX. But get this, those 3 toned thousands I melted down left me a neat little surprise. 3 lottery cards dropped, meaning the system actually counted all 4 of those machines as elite boss class kills. With this sudden jackpot in my hands, I resist the urge to sacrifice my last toned thousand. Instead, I open the 3 mystery cards. A single particle shock cannon, 1 Tate-100 combat robot, and 10 pounds of super meteorite. Alien fragments that self-repair, boast massive defense, and are wrapped in a field that shrugs off any magnetic attack. I send the particle shock cannon straight to the base to be dismantled and mounted. That way, every TX gets 2 heavy weapons enough to wreck anything. I toss the Tate-100 to the base too. I hardly need another basic robot. I hesitate on the meteorite for a second, then hand it over to upgrade the TX endoskeleton. Now, beneath her liquid metal skin, her inner frame is way tougher, mends itself, and completely laughs off any electromagnetic interference. Fewer flaws is always better, and she is all mine anyway. After all, being stronger is just plain better. The construction pauses briefly, giving me time to check out the first batch of Tate-100s running on temporary power. I activate my Eye of Insight and grin, seeing that the cheap temporary battery has not messed with a single thing. Not their overall rating, and not their entries. By the time I wrap everything up, it is already the early hours of the second day, and the system suddenly chimes with a new basic mission: find a shotgun. I literally just sit and stare at it. That is literally the entire quest. I flip my hand over, a shotgun magically appears, and the system happily notifies me that Day 2's basic mission is officially complete. Reward, 200 killing points. Not a single shred of satisfaction, and I love it. Mission complete. Now it is time to collect more cards, and the trading platform is easily the fastest route. Since I have an entire factory backing me up, I am never low on stock. So, I dump the plant's massive stockpile of weapons straight onto the board. I bundle a shotgun with 10 rounds for 1 card, a metal sensor mine for another, a small Gatling gun with ammo for 2, and a personal missile set for 3. I keep listing items until I have posted a whopping 500 pieces and suddenly hit a hard limit. It is not even my choice to stop. The trading system caps everyone at 500 active listings, completely blocking anything beyond that limit. I never heard of this rule in my past life. It was either hidden on purpose, or nobody else could ever farm enough loot to trigger it. 500 is plenty. It cost me literally nothing, and I never expected any of it back. Once listed, items cannot be retrieved. They either sell to another player, or get devoured by the system if left untouched. Honestly, none of that bothers me. Whatever sells, sells. I am definitely not running out of inventory. After that, I settle into a lazy grind. I track down the factory's massive machine disposal pit, a high-temperature furnace hot enough to vaporize a Tate-100 the second it touches the flames. So, I park myself right next to the fiery pit with a cold soda, waiting for the robots to line up. And as each one steps up, I give it a lazy kick over the edge. Down into the flames it goes. Simple. Every time a card drops, I just sweep it into my inventory with a single thought. No more standing guard over my loot like I had to back in the zombie apocalypse. Talk about an effortless farm. Meanwhile, the global chat is completely losing its mind over the massive armory dump I just listed. One guy swears some high-tier player must have looted a massive military depot, while others sit there drooling over what they would do with a rack of missiles. But then, a smarter player points out that this amount of hardware could only come from a fully automated factory, shifting everyone's focus to one single question. Where is his base? The wild hunt that follows exposes several possible locations. There is a metallic outpost numbered 3, sitting dozens of kilometers south of the desert oasis. Then there is base number 9 by a great lake, number 1 near a rumbling volcano, and base number 6, just east of the nuclear crater. Every single post warns the next idiot not to even try walking past those swarms of heavily armed Tate hundreds. I scan through the messages with a frown. Leaning down to the cat in my lap, I tell it to connect to our base and deploy 1,000 Tate hundreds to patrol everything within 3 kilometers of the city walls. Base number 6 is my private property now, and I am not letting random strangers wander in to make trouble. The cat's eyes flicker with a stream of coding, signaling that my command has already been carried out. This grind is pretty dull, and day 3 arrives before I even know it. Find a base. The details say to get within 100 meters of any machine base before midnight, meaning this quest instantly clears itself the moment it pops up. I pocket 300 killing points before I can even finish reading the prompt. I raise my foot and boot another Tate 100 right into the fire. Honestly, as for this effortless, lazy lifestyle, I have only one thing to say: pure glory. Elsewhere, right near the volcano at the base of Station 1, 2 people are hanging dozens of meters down the inside of the crater wall, attaching some strange black device to the rock. Red-hot magma rolls directly below them, and the suffocating heat has already soaked their clothes in sweat, gluing the fabric to their skin. Thick vines of some bizarre alien plant are wrapped tight around their waists, climbing all the way up to the edge of the smoking crater, where a middle-aged man is kneeling 10 meters back, both of his palms pressed firmly into the dirt where the vines first emerged. Green light pours directly from his hands. The vines are completely under his control, or rather, his special ability is what forces them to sprout and support all that weight. Close by, a woman with wavy hair lies right at the edge of the crater, staring deep into the rising smoke. The man groans, complaining that maintaining this is draining his energy, and begs her to hurry them up. She shouts down into the dark abyss to see if the pair are done, and a muffled voice drifts back, "They are finished. Haul them up now." Her eyes narrow slightly at those words, and she tells the man to hang on just a little bit longer, promising it will be over soon. Grumbling, he keeps pouring his energy into the vines. Now watch this. A cold silver light suddenly flickers in her eyes as she watches him. A sharp dagger slowly rises from the earth right behind him, hovering silently in the air without him suspecting a single thing. He snaps at her for just standing there, staring, telling her to stop wasting time and pull them up, because he is right at his limit. She smooths her messy hair, places a finger to her lips, and parts them slowly, telling him not to worry and to just hold on. She looks incredibly charming in this moment, whispering that it is almost over. The man gulps and curses her for trying to act cute at a time like this, begging her to just get them out. Suddenly, the dagger strikes. It pierces through his back like lightning, the bloody blade bursting straight out of his chest, running him completely through. He looks down at his chest in absolute shock, then glares up at her, realizing she is no helpless newcomer, and actually has abilities. She simply smiles, reminding him that she never once claimed to be a newbie. That was just his own dumb assumption, and she has actually been here since the very first day this space opened. His body goes completely limp and collapses, his grip slipping from the vines, which wither and snap in an instant. 2 echoing screams erupt from the depths of the crater, but she does not even bother to look down. Coughing up blood, he gasps, demanding to know who she is and why she did this. She casually crouches beside him, not caring what she shows, and says she will introduce herself. Her name is Huang Xin-ren, ranked 2nd in the first evaluation and 7th in the second round. She digs through his pockets and pulls out a device resembling a remote control, then explains with a sweet smile that one less survivor means one less person splitting the precious killing value points. She stands and gestures toward him, causing him to float up like a puppet and drift toward the boiling lava while begging for his life. 10 seconds later, his body sinks into the magma and dissolves completely. Huang Xin-ren turns to the metallic city at the foot of the mountain, grinning wildly. Last time, she only made 7th place, she tells the wind. But this time, 1st place is hers. She heads down the mountain, finds the 3 motorcycles they rode in on, hops onto one, and presses the single button on her remote. Tossing the device aside, she guns the engine and speeds away. A minute later, 2 small mushroom clouds bloom inside the crater, one right after the other, and a brilliant beam of red light shoots skyward as magma erupts like a fountain from the mountain. Once the thick smoke finally clears, you can see the absolute disaster. She just caused a massive hole blasted open, pointing directly at base number 1. Scalding red magma pours through the gap, swallowing up every living thing in its path, and within 10 minutes, it reaches the bottom of the mountain, rushing straight toward the base. Sirens wail frantically inside base 1, But against a natural disaster of this scale, even the T-800s are useless. The magma is only about 1300 degrees, which is not enough to melt the machines instantly, meaning they can survive a brief contact. But the relentless flood of lava is simply too massive to escape. Slowly but surely, every single robot is consumed by the fire. Just 30 minutes later, Base 1 completely vanishes beneath the sea of fire. This disaster claims a massive toll, wiping out not just the robots, but every single survivor who failed to run away in time. The global chat explodes with angry curses, because everyone knows those mushroom clouds over the volcano prove this was a deliberate attack. Everyone calls the culprit an absolute psycho. Up on a distant peak, Huang Xinren watches the destruction with a wide smile, even though her eyes remain bone-chillingly cold in the wind. First place is definitely hers now, she thinks. Each same-tier T-800 is worth 4 points of killing value, and she is only a 1-star rank. Every single kill counted as an over-level strike worth 8 points. 1,000 kills meant 8,000, 10,000 meant 80,000, and she was totally ready to skyrocket her strength off that. She checks her total. It hasn't budged. Her face slowly darkens, eyes filling with utter disbelief as she mutters that it is impossible. There is absolutely no change at all, no kill value, screaming at nobody. If I could see her right now, I would just sneer and call her exactly what she is, a complete idiot. Did she seriously think the system would leave a massive loophole like that? You can't just misunderstand the rules and cash in. She literally pressed a detonator to set off a nuclear blast. And yes, if that blast had wiped out the machines directly, those kill points would actually be hers. But the explosion only cracked the crater open. It was the resulting magma that flowed out and buried the entire base. So if anyone gets the credit, it is the magma or the volcano itself, never her. There are way too many links in that chain. Keep dreaming, girl. Keep dreaming, girl, because that is the only place you are getting those numbers. But get this right, as the base dies, the robot cat tells me something unbelievable. Base number 1 is completely destroyed. My jaw drops, and I demand to know what happened, because a destroyed base should be impossible. Who did this, and why didn't I hear even a whisper of this in my past life? Honestly, it isn't the loss of the base that genuinely rattles me. It is the fact that reality itself has completely derailed. Maybe it is a butterfly effect. Or maybe one of the 8 bases I thought I knew was already gone the first time, and its absence let the whole story slip past me. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. The cat tells me someone blew the crater and the eruption swallowed the base, and then it shoots a hologram projection straight out of its eyes. We see a stitched-together clip of the crater bursting, the mountain erupting, magma gushing, and the entire base sliding under. Along with the footage, I get the satellite recording, because when one base falls, it immediately alerts the rest, and every base traces the massive event through the network at the exact same instant. Watching the footage, I have only one verdict. Whoever planted that bomb is a complete fool. What did they actually think they were going to gain? If they were chasing kill points, they are probably crying themselves to sleep on a bathroom floor right about now, which is exactly where Huang Xinren is in spirit, wanting to die of embarrassment because she thought she was a genius for trying something so daring. But it turns out, her daring little plan backfired completely. At this point, I decide it is at least worth asking. I ask the cat how far ruined base number 1 is from us, and it says 2,000 kilometers. Then I ask if base number 6 faces any natural threats. It mentions sandstorms and earthquakes, though there hasn't been a single storm in over a month. Plus, the base is built to handle a grade 11 earthquake. Good enough. I order another 1,000 T-800s onto outer patrol, pushing our defensive ring out to 5 kilometers, and the cat confirms it is done. I have finally unlocked a brainless grinding method. I open a dimensional portal right between the marching robots and the lava furnace. So, the machines march right through my space and drop straight into the fire, which the system still scores as a clean kill. All I have to do is lie back and watch. Flawless. By nightfall, the base finally sends the exact update I have been waiting on. The first TX is constructed. I break off the slaughter and head straight for the isolated research lab. Stepping inside, I find a woman standing completely still with her eyes shut, and the sight of her stops me dead in my tracks. Smooth, light gold hair cut straight to the neck. Her face is as flawless as a painting, with a delicate nose, cherry red lips, snow-white skin, and a tight, short red leather outfit. It is a one-piece hugging her every curve, showing off a pair of long, flawless legs as her mature presence washes over me all at once. I have to admit, she is designed exactly to my taste. But then I frown, because her hair and face feel incredibly familiar, like someone I have definitely seen before. After a quick beat, a name surfaces from my memories. It is Android 18. She has the exact same hair, the same gorgeous face. Swap the outfit, and it's literally her. I guess artificial beauty truly crosses dimensions. Before chasing that thought, the base system reports that the TX is fully debugged. With every single system loaded, it asks if I want to initiate activation. I ask if the master recognition command is set, and it confirms everything is good to go. I give the order. The activation sequence runs its course and completes. The TX slowly opens her eyes, but look at this, a wave of chilling murder intent ruins the vibe instantly. She calls me master in a completely lifeless, robotic voice. I frown immediately, telling her I don't like that terrifying expression and that she needs to drop the freezing cold tone to sound more like a real human. Instantly, her gaze softens as all that terrifying killing intent drains away. Her eyes turn incredibly soft and warm. She asks me if this is better, speaking in a sweet, gentle voice that actually makes my cheek twitch. It is a pretty wild mood swing, but it definitely beats a stone-cold killer. I tell her to show me what she can do, and she lists it off. She's got a super alloy endoskeleton, matching armor, a liquid metal outer skin, and the power to mimic any shape. She can completely infiltrate, copy, and override any mechanical system with total immunity to electromagnetic pulse waves. Her arsenal includes an electromagnetic pulse gun, a particle cannon, a flamethrower, and empty slots to mount a fourth weapon. By the time she finishes scanning, I know this TX model inside and out. The base rebuilt my old one and upgraded it. She is a flawless killing machine. I ask how many more can be produced on full power by noon tomorrow. Since I arrived at midday, a 3-day limit applies. I must leave before noon. With only 1 night and 12 hours left, I need numbers. We have enough materials, the system reports after a second. 3 more before noon. Good. Start full production. I turn to the TX and tell her that from now on her name is Winter Plum. She will stay by my side as my personal secretary, downloading whatever administrative skills she requires for the job. She complies, her metallic skin shimmering as her outfit shifts instantly into a sharp, pink business suit. When I ask about the look, she says her database flagged this as the perfect attire for a secretary. She asks if I hate it. It actually looks pretty good, so I tell her to drop the formal master title and call me boss instead. She agrees immediately. 4 TX units will give me 4 personal handmaids: Spring Orchid, Summer Bamboo, Autumn Chrysanthemum, and Winter Plum. I am basically living like an ancient wealthy young lord now. I make sure to tell the factory that all 4 must be female, and definitely have completely different faces. The system confirms my order, and I head off to keep grinding with Winter Plum. While stroking my pet cat, I have Winter Plum linked directly to the database, so she can absorb every drop of secretary knowledge. We are talking about a whole shelf of books, ranging from strict professional conduct guides to trashy manuals on how to seduce your boss. I fully intend to raise her into the ultimate all-around assistant. Every successful man needs a flawless secretary standing right behind him. Do not get it twisted. I have zero feelings for a machine. This is strictly about my future comfort. She is absolutely top tier when it comes to face and figure, but a robot is still just a cold machine at the end of the day. Without certain anatomical features, there is nothing to excite me. Winter Plum calmly notes those features are only for human babies, which a combat droid has no use for. She adds that they would only create extra wind resistance and weight in battle, though she can easily grow them if I really want. Her logic is airtight, which is fine by me. I never wanted to date a robot. She can just remain a highly attractive piece of eye candy. Time is flying. Guys, only 30 minutes left until noon on our very final day. I finally stop the grind. At this point, a few more kills will not make a difference. My kill score has already climbed to an absolutely mind-boggling 110,000 points. The automated factory simply cannot produce targets fast enough to match my slaughter speed, and that is before factoring in my 87,000 points from trading over 800 cards. In total, I am pulling nearly 200,000 points from this run. A massive fortune, plus thousands of stored nuclear batteries. These nuclear batteries are pocket-sized warheads I can detonate at will. With 30 minutes left, I bring 3 brand new maids online. I introduce Spring Orchid, Summer Bamboo, and Autumn Chrysanthemum, each designed with her own distinct flair. One is sweet, one is fierce, and the last is incredibly alluring, and Winter Plum carries the commanding aura of a mature queen over the entire group. Surrounded by these 4 gorgeous androids, my mind blanked for a second. Can you guys even imagine? They can swap faces and voices at a whim, which is a major test of my internal discipline. Luckily, my resolve is completely bulletproof. Romance only slows down my fast trigger finger. Besides, these are not even real women. I thoroughly clean my dimensional space, clearing out all trash to fit my T-800 army. This massive batch is loaded with twin nuclear batteries and a heap of ammunition. They will be absolute slaughter machines, but honestly, the ammunition is the best part. Every round is silver, forged for the monsters in the next trial. With this hidden army, I can do something truly massive. I start packing the T-800s inside my dimensional storage, but hit a hard limit at 7,000. Not one more fits, and I instantly curse myself for not maximizing my storage space earlier. But then I remember I can still expand it. I still have 10 unassigned attribute points. Pouring all of them directly into my spirit stat should buy me some extra space. In they go. My spirit surges to 115, expanding my pocket dimension by an extra 40 cubic meters. I keep cramming the droids in, eventually stopping at 7,500 because I need to leave some empty room for a much bigger prize. The base's central mainframe. With a massive mechanical army and a robot base back in reality, I can easily produce endless soldiers and quickly replace any combat losses. Even if a massive global war starts, my crazy dream of fighting everyone alone is becoming reality. Once this metal army starts marching, absolutely nobody can stop me. I am the real-world machine emperor. I grab the core host, instantly leaving base number 6 completely dead behind me. Right when the timer hits 0, a loud chime rings out, ending the run and pulling me straight back. My vision instantly goes fuzzy and suddenly, I am standing in the quiet settlement void with glowing gold letters flashing right in front of me. The system rating tallies up as usual, survived 3 Tier D daily tasks. Clearing missions up to Tier C, over 1,000 Tier A, over 10,000 Tier S, and holding 100 supply cards. Holding 3 double S cards, killing triple S monsters, while golden light wraps the ranking board. There are 3 pages now, 2 from earlier runs, 1 for this. It congratulates me on hitting triple S and entering the board. I am in first place. Then comes a line I definitely did not expect. 3 consecutive top finishes just earned me an extra 10 points to all 4 attributes, with another massive bonus waiting once I hit 5 in a row. My mind is blown 40 free attribute points already, and a second massive bonus waiting at 5. You know I am going for it. The leaderboard lists me first at triple S, with Wang second at Tier B, Joe third at Tier B, all the way down to Jang at 100th place. Everyone from 20th place down is stuck at Tier C, meaning they never reached 100 kills, but at least cleared the basic missions. Honestly, that is not bad. Still, I am running away with it, and that old line drifts through my head. It turns out, being completely unbeatable is a pretty lonely, hollow feeling. Right on cue, the chat channel absolutely erupts. Half of them are stunned that Boss U took triple S a third time against T-800s, while the other half are fighting over who gets him. I just let it all wash past. The rewards land in a stack. The triple S payout awards 7 to every attribute. 20 free points, 2,000 killing value. My cards convert to 87,000. My total killing value stands at 209,400, and the shop refreshes. Time to spend. I open it, buying attributes first because a strong foundation is everything. The prices have reset. No haggling here. I buy 10 points to all 4 attributes for 400, 10 more for 4,000, and another 10 for 40,000. Those 3 quick purchases leave me with 165,000. I put 10 of my 20 free points into spirit, keeping the other 10 in reserve. My stat numbers stabilize, and my strength suddenly climbs off a cliff. Strength is 161, physique 175, speed 170, spirit 172, plus 3 trade points, and 10 free attributes, giving me a combat rating of 5-star late stage, 5-star strength, after only 3 runs. Honestly, life feels like a complete dream. I cannot help but sigh at how broken cheating can be, but it really does feel amazing. Now that attributes are settled, it is time for skills. Naturally, in a robot world, every skill on offer is going to be machine-flavored. Since I already have mechanical heart, machine thinking, and mechanical master, high-tier mechanical skills should easily unlock for me. And sure enough, the entire ability list opens up mechanical repair, sensing, fusion, disguise, and even full transformation. More than I ever knew existed. Somewhere in this pile is exactly what I need. I need an ability that locks down a machine's loyalty forever. I have zero intention of building an epic base in reality, only to watch it grow, glitch out, and wake up one day as Skynet. Right now, Winterplum and the rest only run on basic, programmed obedience. But code can be jammed, hacked, or completely rewritten, and if that ever happens, the absolute disaster does not bear thinking about. Their loyalty has to be in my own hands, or I might as well not build the base at all. Luckily, I find the answer quickly. Mechanical assimilation at perfected level uses my own blood and spirit. It literally folds a piece of machinery into myself, making it part of my own body. I will be able to feel its state, command its inner structure, and control it instantly like a second self. Plus, the number of machines I can assimilate is directly tied to my spirit stat. It costs 5,000. This is the missing piece: assimilate the base's core host, and betrayal becomes completely impossible. I grab it immediately, and watch how these next skills set up my future base. Perfected Machine Aura gives every machine within 100 meters a 30% boost, 5,000 points, and it is perfect for my army. With Machine Disguise at perfected level, I can melt in among nearby machinery, and shrink my overall presence down to almost nothing. It costs 5,000 basically, stealth and visibility. Perfected Driving Mastery is also 5,000. This lets me pilot literally any vehicle, ready for the day. I want a plane, a spaceship, or a giant mech. Perfected Repair Mastery is another 5,000. A solid backup skill. Perfected Machine Domain is 5,000, seizing control of every intelligent machine within 100 meters, making me the ultimate overlord of that circle. It is honestly a shame it only stops at machines, because a full metal domain would be absolutely incredible. I also buy Perfected Mechanical Link for 5,000, letting me talk to any thinking machine, especially for the mechanical lifeforms I know are coming, like Autobots. 7 skills, 35,000 spent, leaving 130,000 left. My gaze shifts over to the weapons. Here is my chance to arm my forces and give the base advanced tech to reverse engineer and mass produce. For the next wave of monsters, regular silver bullets will do. No need for anything fancy here, so I settle on 3 basic types: the laser blade, the laser gun, and the blaster. I grab the standard and rechargeable versions of each, intentionally skipping the infinite energy models. Think about it, infinite energy is just superstition, not science. In my past life, an organization blew a fortune trying to research an infinite revolver and quit in 10 days. It was not for lack of trying, but because the weapon defied all explanation, consuming absolutely nothing, not even the surrounding air, yet spitting out real brass casings with actual gunpowder. Creating something from nothing, completely trampling the law of conservation of energy. No one was dumb enough to try researching infinite ammo again, since even Bodic couldn't be copied and performed worse than standard models anyway. If I learn these basic plane models and swap in nuclear batteries, I can replicate them all. One of each weapon is plenty for research. 10,500 spent, leaving 119,500. For once, I have way too much killing value. Let's keep going. I dump the rest on gear and raw materials. Melting furnaces, assembly lines, and control rooms, each costing 300 to 1,000 killing value. Everything is light years ahead of modern tech, which will save immense time during construction. And time is money. For materials, I only buy rare metals: iridium, rudium, palladium, rhenium, lithium, beryllium, germanium, basically whatever is scarce, purchasing them by the ton, since they are dirt cheap at 300 to 500 a ton. The killing space will hold everything for a token storage fee of 10 killing value a day, kept forever and pulled out whenever I want. So I keep 200 back to cover it. Building a real-world fortress isn't something you can just do overnight. Scout work and construction take time, meaning these materials will sit in storage for a while. I summon Winterplum, but when she appears, she freezes up, standing dead still like a crashed computer. I frown, wondering if she's having trouble adapting to these unfamiliar surroundings. Before I can even speak, she snaps out of it and greets me as her boss. I ask her flat out what just happened, and she answers, with absolute honesty, explaining that a massive wave of nearby wireless data hit her sensors all at once, which she decrypted automatically. That would be all the modern wireless traffic and cell data. It is child's play for an android built on Terminator tech, which makes perfect sense. Curious, I ask what she intercepted. It is a lot, she says, and starts listing it off. A television playing an adult movie in the apartment above us. Someone downstairs rage-quitting a mobile game because of a terrible teammate. A text sent out of the red light district promising they won't be home until tomorrow morning. A woman 2 buildings over calling a random guy about a clogged drain, whispering that her husband is out of town until tomorrow. 2 internet lovers flirting online, calling each other husband and darling. But once she hacked them, both accounts belong to men who've never actually met. I mean, are things really this far gone? My cheek twitches, and I honestly hate that I understand every single dirty joke she just listed. My brain maps out every single scenario clearer than if I'd watched it live. Honestly, I hate my active imagination. Seeing her get ready to list even more scandalous secrets, I quickly cut her off and tell her, that's enough. None of this is urgent. I instruct her to open her core, because I need a look inside. She obeys, and the liquid fabric over her chest parts like quicksilver. The heavy alloy plating beneath slides open, pushing her glowing core out into the open air. It's called a core, but it's actually a miniature motherboard and chip. Since she's a Terminator, the craftsmanship is miles beyond modern tech. Slicing my finger, I extract a drop of my own blood, charge it with psychic energy, and trigger my mechanical assimilation. A brilliant blue light radiates from the blood as it floats upward, landing gently on her core and rippling across the surface. That single drop spreads until it wraps around the entire device, slowly soaking inside as if the core is drinking it. The moment it disappears, a strange mental link connects us. I can feel her core as clearly as if it's a part of my own body. I have constant access and can destroy it with a single thought. I can sever or restore this mental bond at will. What an incredible feeling. I test the connection for a bit to get used to it, then break it, telling her to retract the core. She pulls it back without showing any emotion at all, because to Winterplum, my direct command is her absolute, ultimate law. Once it's tucked away, I reconnect. There's no resistance at all, fluid and natural, and a smile creeps onto my face. This is better than I ever hoped. This machine can never betray me because her core is mine, and unless I allow it, no software on Earth can hack her system. I perform the same ritual on the other 3 made androids, on Little Silver and on the base core itself. Little Silver, of course, is the Tone 1000 cat. I gave it a simple name just to make commanding it easier. Taming the base core, though, cost me a whole bowl of blood, which would make any normal person faint. I must admit, mechanical assimilation is incredibly useful, but it demands far too much of my blood. Bigger summons drain way more energy. As for power limits, I am strictly capped at summoning only 2 of them. Each 10 spirit points adds 1 more slot. Honestly, I could easily control over 12 of them, but 6 is plenty for now. That means the base, Little Silver, and the 4 maids. The rest, complete fodder. I will not blink if they break. Recalling the base core, I give those 4 maids one simple task. Scan this world immediately, master its layout, and blend in as ordinary humans. That means local factions, foreign military, and those dark organizations lurking in the shadows. Their target is the internet. Before today, hacking the military and government was an absolutely impossible dream for me. But to hyper-advanced machines, modern firewalls are a joke. They wander through, copying and altering whatever they want. Once they finish this sweep, I can know anything on Earth. This entire world will strip bare for me. Imagine 4 stunning women sitting around a router. Each plugs a finger directly into a port. Endless digital code scrolling through their eyes as they learn. I watch them with absolute envy. Now that is a cozy study session. Still, I cannot stay idle. I bring Little Silver to another port, letting its tail morph into a data jack, and order it to find one specific man. Joe Tae, the arrogant heir of the Joe Group. Locate him and project his feed right here. Pang Ho still has not reached out, but you know what? We do not even need him anymore. With these god-tier machines at my back, his elite connections are totally optional. I will track down Joe Tae through the digital web myself. Little Silver agrees instantly, its tiny eyes turning pitch black with rushing data. In less than 10 seconds, it locks onto the target. Its eyes flash, and a hologram unfolds in midair. A man wearing gold-rimmed glasses, his hair combed flawlessly. Pure arrogance radiates from him. This is the elite Joe Tae. He lounges on a sofa, casually scrolling through live streams. I thought seeing his face would make me explode. But instead, there is only a cold, flat urge to kill. I ask where he is right now. The VIP lounge at a major American airport, it replies. I demand to know his destination, but the machine cannot search his landing spot directly. However, his private jet has a flight plan scheduled for takeoff in 30 minutes. 10 hours in the air, bound straight for So City in the Dragon Kingdom. So City, my eyes narrow. That is incredibly close, barely a 2-hour drive. It looks like we finally get to meet. I command Little Silver to lock onto him, track his location constantly, and notify me the exact second his plane lands. I could easily send a T-1000 unit to drop his plane, or hack local air defense to shoot it down. But some blood debts must be paid in person, and there are several questions I need to ask him directly. Besides, why would I ever let him die without pain? Since I have 10 hours to wait, let us search a second name. Locate Director Joe, the current chief of the 816 Bureau. Show me what he is doing. It is time I contacted the authorities. Before this, my lack of power kept me hidden. It was pure self-preservation. The ruling class has been rooted in power for decades, and their true foundations are completely unknown. But that was the old me. I was never really running away anyway, since I always knew I would eventually face the elite. I could have worn a mask and played the mysterious master, but for a reincarnated man holding every possible advantage, hiding like a rat is just pathetic. I always knew I would obtain absolute, fearless power very quickly. Now that I control the base system, let me tell you everything changes. I am done pretending. Unless they drop a nuke on my head, nobody on this planet can touch me. Even then, I am not really scared of atomic weapons, not with a dimensional space packed with T-800 units. At this point, absolutely nothing in this world can hold me back. So why stay in the dark? Little Silver processes the command, shifting the screen to a high-level conference room. My target sits near the bottom, because as head of the 816 Bureau, Director Joe is just a small fish among giants. I recognize these faces from the news. The elder sitting at the head is a top-tier national leader whose decisions shape the entire destiny of the Dragon Kingdom. Deep inside the National Combat Command Center, these powerful leaders are sitting rigid and tense, looking like schoolboys facing a strict principal. The elderly leader at the head smiles, telling them there is no need to be so incredibly tense, assuring them this is just an informal meeting. The crisis is severe, but there is no reason to panic, and that their nation's foundation will not crumble so easily. But his words do nothing to ease their stiff, nervous postures. These are veteran politicians after all, and they know those comforting words are meant for show. Anyone naive enough to relax would quickly learn that the tallest nail always gets hammered down. Seeing this, the elder sighs, drops the act, and turns his attention to Director Joe, apologizing for calling him back into the capital at such a late hour. He begs the director not to take it personally since they had to make a move fast. Director Joe chuckles, saying the elder is surely joking. It was all for the people. And he knows the elder himself has not slept a wink either, meaning he still has so much to learn from him. The old man nods, agrees to keep things brief, and asks if they still haven't found that mysterious person. Director Joe sighs, shaking his head helplessly, and reports zero progress so far. They even vetted every single public official 3 times, but nobody matched the profile. The nationwide search is underway, but with such a massive population, it takes too much time, and there is no guarantee they will ever find them. The elder ponders for a moment, instructing him to keep searching but gently, reasoning that since the mysterious stranger warned them first, he must still care about the country, and probably keeps his identity hidden for a very good reason. Right now, their focus must stay on the monsters coming their way, and Director Joe nods in agreement. But watch this. Static screams through the speakers, and the giant map screen suddenly flickers, transforming into a sleek, silver cat. It calmly asks if they are looking for it, and that cat is Little Silver's digital avatar. Chilling at home, I overheard their entire conversation, so I had Little Silver hack their security to introduce myself to these top leaders face to face. I hide my face, showing only the cat, in case things take a bad turn, and I would rather not give them my actual picture anyway. A talking cat sends an instant chill through the room. Their faces pale because this is a military command center with a dedicated line designed to stop any hacker on Earth, yet we just walked right in without making a single sound. The elder's gaze locks onto the chief of cybersecurity, whose face has turned completely white with sheer terror. He jumps up and runs to a corner, grabbing a secure landline and dialing furiously. This silent breach is a massive slap to his face, right in front of all his peers. Seconds later, he hangs up, walks back with a grim expression, and slowly shakes his head at the elder, admitting they found nothing wrong. That freezes the room, because no detected issue means their opponent is insanely powerful. It means they hold technology far beyond ours, making the elder's face harden immediately. He stays quiet for 2 seconds before addressing the silver cat, saying he assumes he is speaking with the mysterious ranker sitting at number 1. I have Little Silver confirm his guess. Watching them through the cat's eyes, I feel totally calm because Terminator-level tech is impossible for them to trace. They obviously spent a fortune on defense, and Little Silver even detected some weird energy signatures guarding their network. Probably professional evolvers on guard, but against a T-1000 system, their wall crumbled like wet paper anyway. The elder smiles, thanking me for the heads up about the threat, and for wiping out the invading zombie swarm, saying it saved the Dragon Kingdom from devastating casualties, offering deep thanks on behalf of the entire nation. And he actually sounds completely genuine. If I hadn't tipped off Director Joe, they wouldn't have noticed until the undead breached the city, and letting that virus spread would have cost countless innocent lives. I reply through the cat, telling them I was born and raised right here, and I have no desire to watch my homeland burn. To be honest, I actually respect this elder. In my past life, during the darkest monster invasions, he was always the one rallying the people and leading humanity's last stand. He was a true beacon of hope. But my respect for him doesn't change my deep distrust of the government he represents. His eyes gleam with hope, and he asks if I have any interest in officially serving our country, and I give him the exact same answer I gave Director Joe: I will never join their ranks. He notes that I seem to harbor some pretty deep-seated resentment, and I don't deny it. telling him straight up that the second my face gets revealed to them, my file and photos will be sitting on the desks of every major power player by sunrise. That completely triggers the entire room. Talk about an explosive reaction. One man slams the table, leaps up, and demands to know what I mean. Once one guy snaps, the floodgates open, and their bruised egos start yelling all at once. They are highly insulted by the hint of corruption among them, calling it the most ridiculous joke they have heard all year. A veteran who dedicated 30 years to the military refuses to be doubted by some young punk. And the youth today are just way too paranoid. The room devolves into total chaos until the elder silences everyone with a thunderous yell to shut up, demanding they look at their own shameful behavior. The table slammer mutters that it is not like they do not know the rules, but they simply cannot stand by and watch this insult, adding that even if he gets punished, he had to speak his mind. The elder just sighs helplessly since this soldier comes from a good military family but still has those rough, stubborn habits. Then he flatly pulls rank, ordering the man to shut up and sit. The officer drops back with a thud, his dark face filled with obvious doubt. The elder takes a deep breath, telling the screen that while he understands the anxiety, this accusation is simply too serious to ignore. He cannot vouch for absolutely everything, but he can personally guarantee that not a single person in this room would ever betray the Dragon Kingdom. But what I am describing is even more impossible. Sitting on my sofa at home, I have little silver message back that he clearly does not believe me. It is not about disbelief, the elder replies instantly. He just trusts his own judgment. Every officer present either holds a legendary record of glory or comes from generations of loyal national service. He watched some of them grow from young boys working their fingers to the bone, so suspicion is completely out of the question. So I have the cat reply, since he is so confident, how about a bet? A bet? He repeats, saying his high rank forbids him from gambling, but he asks curiously what I want to wager. I bet there is a traitor among you, I say, as a notebook slams onto the table. A square-faced man of nearly 50, his expression suddenly turning as cold as ice, tells the elder that if it is too awkward for him, he will accept the wager. His own military department does not have so many strict rules. He wants to see exactly how this stranger plans to expose a traitor. Ignoring him, the elder solemnly warns the screen that some accusations cannot be made lightly. Lightly or not, I fire back. We will only know once we try, and since the officer is willing, let him do it. The elder goes quiet. Fine, the square-faced man says, taking the bet. He is wagering against this traitor theory and wants me to name the culprit. If I win, he will grant any request that does not harm the nation, even if I order him to run naked around a television station. But if I fail, I must show my true face, admit my mistake, and report to his military department tomorrow to work under him. The entire room falls silent, everyone turning to him with knowing, amused smiles. This old fox is using this perfect opportunity to force me into the open, and even better, recruit me straight into his military branch instead of letting me join the 816 Bureau. Talk about a shameless move to steal talent. Who would have thought Li Guogang, with his thick brows and square jaw, could be so cunning? Truly, the master tacticians always have the most calculating minds. Even Director Joe freezes, his cheek twitching as he opens his mouth to object, but he glances at the high rank on the officer's shoulder and wisely swallows his words. As the junior officer here, he knows he should play nice. Li Guogang's face flushes under everyone's stares, but he has no choice because a target this powerful is simply too valuable to lose. Besides, in his mind, this is an absolute, guaranteed win. Just as the elder declared, every person here has a spotless record, making this traitor accusation a total joke. I have Little Silver send a one-word agreement, and Li Guogang's lips curl in victory. Good, he says. Let the show begin. Before demanding to know who I will name, he leans back with his arms crossed, tilting his head toward the monitor. I command the cat to type back a simple instruction: look at your belt. He sneers, asking if I am accusing him of being the traitor, but I reply that I never blamed him directly, only his belt, and he will understand once he checks it. He laughs aloud, reminding me that everyone undergoes a strict, full-body scan before entering. No exceptions. His entire military uniform was inspected from head to toe at the door, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I warn him not to be so confident because some secrets only reveal themselves once you look closer. Annoyed, he snaps that if I refuse to let this go, he will make me eat my words. Losing all patience, he rips the belt off right there, keeping his pants up with one hand, and displays the belt to the entire room, demanding to know if anyone sees anything out of place. The others look at the standard issue military belt. There is absolutely nothing unusual about it. One by one, they confirm it is perfectly clean. Li Guogong turns back to the monitor, asking if I have anything else or if I am ready to yield. I instruct him to cut it open 10 centimeters from the buckle. What is that supposed to mean? He growls, and I tell him something is hidden inside. He pinches the exact spot, bending the tough leather while asking if this looks like it could hide anything at all. Surely there would be a bulge. I simply repeat that he will find out the moment he cuts it open. That genuine amusement makes him laugh, and he mutters that he will happily make me choke on my own words as he calls for scissors. 3 minutes later, a pair is handed to him, and he cuts without a second thought, telling the room to keep their eyes glued to him. After all, what could be inside? And just like that, the smug smiles vanish. Hidden inside the leather lies a paper-thin black strip, patterned like a circuit board. It looks exactly like an advanced electronic coil. Instantly, his face completely pales at the sight. He has no idea what the other belts look like inside. But there is no denying his own belt has a massive problem now. How is this even possible? He stammers out, demanding to know what it is, why it was hidden there, and if anyone else has one. He is far from the only panicked person in the room now. Another officer leaps to his feet, quickly pulling off his belt to hack it open. They find absolutely nothing and let out a sigh of relief, and 3 or 4 others get the exact same result. Looking relieved, everyone turns their eyes to Lee Guk-gang, but the elder's gaze on him grows even heavier. Under their intense stares, cold sweat pours down Lee Guk-gang. He keeps begging that he knows nothing, and that maybe they are completely misunderstanding the situation. Maybe it is just some new technology for added flexibility. He obviously does not believe his own weak excuse, but he has absolutely nothing else to say. Right then, my voice rings out through the screen again. I reveal to them that it is actually a state-of-the-art wiretap from America. The battery and memory are completely sealed inside the buckle, programmed to record the moment a signal is jammed. With the proper receiver, someone can link directly to it and extract all the recorded data. Instantly, every face in the room pales. Lee Guk-gang slumps deep into his chair, desperately crying out that he knows nothing and they must believe him. While his neighbors slide their chairs away to avoid being recorded, Elder Joe keeps staring. Lee Guk-gang pleads that it is not him and that Elder Joe has to believe him. He stammers that he has absolutely no reason to do this, his face completely flushed with pure panic. Elder Joe remains dead silent, keeping his heavy gaze locked on him as a suffocating pressure fills the room. And this is where the tension gets absolutely dialed up to 100, as the elder looks back at the screen to ask if Lee Guk-gang is the traitor. With his heart lodged in his throat, Lee Guk-gang knows his entire life hangs on whatever the cat says next. It is not even an exaggeration. Watching from my room, I can practically feel their terror through the screen, and I grin. Deciding that is enough, I command the silver kitten. The silver kitten says a single word: no. Hearing this, Lee Guk-gang instantly shouts out, nearly collapsing from overwhelming relief. He screams out, "Did they hear that?" It is not him. This massive emotional roller coaster is almost more than he can handle. This is honestly more thrilling than any battlefield clash from his youth. Beside him, Elder Joe finally lets out a soft sigh. He then asks the kitten if the traitor is in this room and it is not Lee Guk-gang. Who is it? Simple. I have the cat answer. Just ask him who gave him that belt. Having survived the worst of the storm, Lee Guk-gang instantly recovers his sharp focus. Lee Guk-gang frowns, thinks for a few seconds, and suddenly whips his head toward a corner of the room. Sitting there are several middle-aged staffers taking notes, all trusted personal guards of the heavyweights who should be beyond any suspicion. Feeling his piercing stare, the guards suddenly stiffen up and lock their eyes straight ahead, except for one thin, bespectacled man. Sweat is pouring down his forehead, yet he does not even dare to wipe it away as he tries to act normal. But nobody in this room is a fool. They have read thousands of faces, and they spot his absolute terror in a single glance. Lee Guk-gang slams the table, stands up, and unleashes his terrifying aura. He barks at Oh Shunguk, "What is the deal with this belt?" Just a moment ago, he looked like a helpless victim, but now, cleared of guilt, he commands the room with the raw authority of a legendary general. Under that crushing pressure, Oh Shunguk's knees buckle, and he slides right out of his chair onto the cold floor. He stammers out that he was forced, crying that they threatened his family if he did not cooperate. Lee Guk-gang cuts him off, barking that he has heard enough, and orders him dragged away for harsh interrogation. The guards at the door quickly haul the traitor up and drag him out, while he screams that he never wanted to do it and was forced. Before he can even cross the threshold, a quick-thinking guard stuffs a white glove into his mouth, cutting off his cries. Lee Guk-gang's face twists in dark frustration. Oh Shunguk had followed him for 15 years, working right by his side. 15 years, he mutters, never expecting such betrayal, his voice trailing away. Then he looks at the screen and sighs, "Kid, you win." He is ready to honor their wager, telling me to simply name my terms. He pulls his pressure back and sits down, completely deflated. He looks like a completely different man from the one who just slammed the table. Back in my room, I smirk. My message was delivered, and now they will take me seriously. Using my knowledge of this belt incident from my past life to humble these arrogant elites worked even better than I had initially hoped. I needed to make an example of someone to terrify the rest, and Lee Guk Gang was the perfect target. This is the only way these arrogant, proud leaders will respect my future words. It is how I force them to treat me as an equal. I have the kitten instruct them to keep this massive debt open for now, promising to call it in later, and a tense Lee Guk Gang nods in agreement. Seeing the conflict settled, Elder Joe immediately speaks up to change the subject. He notes that my appearance today is surely not just to flush out a traitor. I have the cat reply that he is absolutely right. Today was just to say hello, and to discuss a potential partnership. Elder Joe repeats the word partnership, his expression turning incredibly serious. He demands to know which faction I represent, but I tell him that no one backs me. I only represent myself. Just yourself, he repeats, utterly stunned. He had assumed I was merely a pawn pushed forward by some shadowy organization with massive power backing me up. My response does not add up, leaving him unable to tell if it is a cover or the raw truth. That is right, I speak through the cat. The elder weighs my words for 2 seconds, then asks how we will cooperate. Plainly, I explain the terms to the elder. I will hand over the critical intelligence his people need, and in exchange, they must supply me with certain special materials. His eyes narrow as he asks in a low voice if those special materials mean weapons. I tell him no, only high precision, advanced instruments, and bulk ore. I laid out my real goal without saying it aloud, because I want to build a Terminator base in reality. The gear I bought from the shop is nowhere near enough. This is a steady, long-term supply chain I am asking for, not a quick, one-time haul. Spending my killing value on rare metals is completely worth it, but wasting killing value on basic iron and copper is a terrible trade. So I would much rather pull those in by the ton from the real world. The only catch is that the authorities heavily control these resources, so they rarely ever hit the open market, which is exactly why making this deal is so much cleaner. Let them gather the goods for me. Plus, I have a tiny selfish motive here too. I really do not want to see my country emerge from this national war so weak that it drags me down. I would rather lift them up early. And as for the worry that they might grow too strong too fast and turn on me, but let us be real here, that is simply not a concern for a player with a cheat code. Who can outpace me in getting stronger? Elder Joe sinks into deep thought, carefully weighing my proposal. Tons of precision instruments and raw ore are obviously not for a single person. It tells him I must have a massive team or backing behind me. After a long moment, he asks what my so-called intelligence actually covers. I tell him simply a massive change is coming to both the killing space and the real world. Which monster appears in the next space? And what shifts out here? Before the elder can even speak, Director Joe blurts out from his seat, demanding to know how I could possibly know the next space's monster in advance. Then my 3 ratings flash in his head, and I can see him wondering if that foresight is how a complete nobody grabbed first place. 3 clean runs in a row. Letting a little amusement slip into the cat's voice, I tell him that nothing is impossible, since I can see the future. So predicting the upcoming monsters is totally logical, a convenient lie. Claiming out loud that I am a reborn traveler would sound crazy, but a precognition ability is something they can actually swallow. The entire room shudders at the word prophecy. If such a power is real, the massive edge it grants inside the killing space is absolutely mind-blowing. Director Joe catches the discrepancy and asks sharply if my power is not supposed to be ice. I confirm it, adding that no rule says an ice user cannot carry a second gift. He opens his mouth, then shuts it, realizing they must be dealing with a dual-talent user and letting it slide. Elder Joe asks if I have already seen the next round of monsters. Yes, I tell him, but I cannot reveal it just yet. We wait 3 days. When he presses on why it takes 3 days instead of 1, I answer simply. In 3 days, the national borders descend, sealing every single country off from one another. And unless someone's combat power clears a ridiculously high bar, they will never cross borders again. It is not just physical separation, it is a complete information blackout. Every nation's satellites pinned right over their own soil with zero peeking abroad. You can bet the room absolutely detonates around the elder. Everyone swears it is impossible. For the first time, Elder Joe completely loses his cool. The sheer weight of that claim reshapes the entire globe, not just one country. He asks again if this is really true. Whether it is true or not, I tell him, he will find out in 3 days. Heavy silence drops over the room. My little listening device trick did its silent work. Even if the border lock sounds insane, naming their secret bug out of thin air has these proud men half believing me, going completely against their own logical judgment. I tell them our next meeting will be in 3 days, and then we can discuss the rest of the terms. And just like that, I leave one more shocking gift on the table before heading out. At dawn, a zombie army 200,000 strong will surface at Yongguan village. And after every space that closes, that number climbs by another 100,000. Plus, the tourist resort drowned in toxic mist is also packed with another 200,000. Elder Joe immediately lunges forward to stop me, but the screen has already flipped back to a map, forcing him to swallow his words. Taking a deep breath, he sends Director Joe off to handle the monsters while keeping the old man behind to ponder the national borders. They cannot help but ask if the elder truly believes this outrageous claim, but the elder simply answers that they already carry the truth in their hearts, and whatever happens, they cannot afford to gamble against my warning. Back home, I stretch. The net is finally cast, and I will reel it in 3 days from now. As for Jote, he has another 10 hours left. Then, it will be his turn. That resort is only a 4-hour drive from Hong City. Since I can reach it in time if I move right now, and the Yongguan army is too far and too weak to care about, I decide to just leave both of these massive zombie crowds to the local authorities. Before leaving, I hand my silver to the money-paying Ho-Pass and order it to dump everything straight into the stock market. Building a base is a massive money pit, and without serious cash, I can't even buy the dirt to stand on. But when you control an entire mechanical army, that kind of cash shortage is just a temporary problem. A single T-1000, far beyond this era's tech, can easily print money in its sleep. Leaving the 4 maids and the cat behind, I head out by myself, though alone is a relative term, when a whole T-800 Legion is resting right in my pocket. Time to test my new skills. Hours melt away in the back of the taxi as I plan my next moves. First order of business is cash, with T-1000s dominating the stock market and draining banks dry. They will squeeze every cent they can within 3 days before borders shut and lock out foreign cash. Next, I need to find land for the base, buy it, and forge clean legal papers for Winter Plum and the others. We need documents that can survive any serious background check. Once mapped out, it is a mountain of work. You see, I am not fighting alone anymore. I have got 4 powerful machines and a cat ready for war. Around 5 in the morning, the cab pulls up to a blocked road. The driver turns around, acting all friendly, to let me know the road and the scenic area ahead are completely closed off. He says I came out here for nothing because I did not check the travel guide first. Then he offers to take me to a diner instead. His hustle is obvious. A massive fare like this covers his whole day. He has found a cash cow and hates to lose it. I refuse, step out, and he desperately yells for me to call him later before speeding away. Staring at the closed road and high guardrails, I step off the main path and vanish completely into the shadows. Just 10 minutes later, I slip past the blocked road and clear the entire outer security perimeter. Now, I stand right before the massive wall of poisonous mist, and I walk straight in without pausing. Earlier, I had my T-1000 hack a satellite to download every single spatial rift coordinate and map directly to my phone. So, unlike my past life, I am not stumbling around blindly looking for a path. I press through the heavy fog and hit the exact street from the satellite files. And through this entire walk, not a single zombie crosses my path. Sunrise is right around the corner, so they have already retreated deep into their underground tunnels. Unlike virus-fueled mutants who never rest, these traditional zombies still need to sleep during the day. Right in the middle of the asphalt sits a massive, wall-less pit stretching dozens of meters wide. No lip, no bottom in sight, just a terrifying pool of absolute blackness painted flat onto the road. A deep, unsettling chill crawls straight up my spine. I recognize this void. It is the gateway to the zombie wasteland, and somewhere past this threshold, the spatial rift is waiting. One step inside, and you are dropped into a sealed, suffocating realm of dead earth, ancient coffins, and endless hordes of the walking dead. I am back, and for a second, a strange trance washes over me, like I am watching my younger self. The desperate kid who dove into this nightmare again and again, risking everything just to harvest energy pearls from rotting corpses. I take a deep, steadying breath, shake off the memories, and step down into the dark abyss. No sensation of falling, no zero gravity, just a single step, and the entire world flips upside down under a bleeding red moon. I stand firmly on scorched earth, a dark cave behind me, and massive, sheer cliffs piercing the clouds on both sides. This place is a massive ravine, the one my past self used to call Zombie Canyon. No room for tricks here, just a pure, brutal grind. Behind me is the entrance I just used. Deep at the far end lies the spatial rift. To reach that rift, I have to butcher my way straight through the entire canyon. Brainless corpses wander the whole route, and my sudden arrival just triggered something high above. A sinister crimson glow bleeds from the moon, locking directly onto me. The blood moon mark. My past self knew this curse well, which means I am basically a walking target now, and every monster in this hellhole is coming for me. Scattered zombies suddenly freeze, then sprint directly at me. I narrow my eyes as a heavy Gatling gun materializes in my hands, and I immediately start harvesting heads. Between rounds, I throw out clusters of compressed T-800s, packed tight so I can fit more of them into my inventory. The instant they hit the ground, they expand, stand in perfect formation, load their weapons, and unleash hell in absolute silence. I do not waste expensive silver bullets on them. Standard armor-piercing rounds are more than enough to shred this trash. Wave after wave of machines deploy until 1,000 metal soldiers guard my back. Any more than that, and this narrow canyon would completely bottleneck, but 1,000 is more than enough to break this rotting wave. Heavy fire suppression is truly a work of art. The Legion forms strict ranks, their high-caliber rounds hammering the incoming zombies into absolute paste. I stop firing, hand my heavy Gatling gun to the lead unit, and deliver my very first command as a general advance. The Legion marches forward in a unison tighter than any elite parade drill. The mindless zombies ahead have absolutely no answer for this walking wall of metal. I leisurely stroll behind them, hands clasped behind my back. I roll my shoulders and swagger forward at the very center of my own army as the canyon echoes with gunfire. Having other people fight and die in my place is a genuinely wonderful feeling. Machines do not eat, sleep, or betray you, and honestly, who would not love an arrangement as perfect as this? Out beyond the poisonous mist, the military stands wound tight as heavy weapons are set up in complete silence. With drone bombers ready for takeoff, the powerful fighters of the 816 Bureau assemble along the line. Director Joe stands among them. Someone else has been assigned to handle the infected whose exact combat numbers are already fully known, ensuring there are zero surprises on that front, leaving the military's strongest fighter free to wait for the heavier zombies. Inside the command center, Director Joe is holding a critical meeting with his veteran squad from the infected space. His team includes Jiang Wei, the data specialist whose gold-rimmed glasses constantly slip, and Dong Yang, the muscular sniper responsible for heavy damage. Rounding out the crew are scout specialist Jin Shi-ho and demolition expert Naong. Every single one of them is someone he would trust with his life, which is why he assembled them for this mission. Studying the satellite feed, his face relaxes slightly as he confirms their theory was right. The zombies never emerge during the day, giving them plenty of time to prepare. Then he asks the team what they make of one specific spot, and the monitor screen splits. One side shows the wide area while the other reveals the portal entrance, where shadowy figures leap through the thinning fog and vanish. They are all zombies, every single one. The analysts have officially labeled this region an alternate space. The monsters hide inside during the daytime and swarm out only at night, so Director Joe wants to send in a scout squad to map the area. It is highly dangerous work. He openly admits that any team entering will likely be swarmed the second they touch down. Because of the risk, he plans to lead the squad himself and asks his crew what they think. Dong Yang volunteers immediately, but wonders why they do not just drop a nuke down the portal to end it all, regardless of what lies inside, to spare themselves the danger. Director Joe's face turns bitter, and he admits there is no point in keeping it a secret anymore. The higher-ups simply will not allow it. Dong Yang does not understand. It is just a pocket dimension, so why risk lives when a single warhead would settle everything? You can hear the deep resentment in his voice, directed entirely at the order. Jiang Wei adjusts his glasses and explains why. And get this, the top brass banned the nuke because they are absolutely terrified of destroying the pocket dimension. They want to keep it intact as a breeding ground for a constant flow of energy pearls. Director Joe nods in agreement. He explains that since most people were never chosen by the system, pearls are their only path to power, and there are currently far too few. Jiang Wei sneers, muttering that saying there are too few is putting it incredibly lightly, especially when those pearls go straight to the pampered heirs of elite bloodline families, and less than 10% ever reach the military. Now he understands why the top-ranked fighter refuses to work for the government. It is all just endless labor for a pack of useless, pampered heirs. If he had the choice, he would refuse too. Before he can finish, Director Joe slams his hand down, cracking the table. He sharply warns Jiang Wei to fix his attitude immediately, reminding him that politics is not for soldiers to judge, and their only duty is to execute the orders they receive. Deep down, he knows every single word of it is true, but a soldier can only do so much. Jiang Wei tightly presses his lips together and stops talking. The room falls completely silent. Out of nowhere, Jin Shiho speaks up. He points to the monitor and asks them to rewind the footage to around the 10-minute mark and play it at normal speed. That stops everyone cold. Director Joe asks if he spotted something. Jin Shiho admits he might have, but since the tape was sped up, it could just be a trick of the eye. But his scouting instincts are sharp as a razor, and even from a brief, passing glance, he is absolutely sure a human shape flashed across the screen. The tech rewinds the feed, stopping right at the requested moment when no more zombies are visible. 10 seconds tick by like a frozen photograph. Jiang Wei grumbles that nothing is there and his eyes are playing tricks, but Jin Shiho frowns, insisting they watch closely one more time. In an instant, he points and yells that it is right there. Every eye in the room locks onto a dark silhouette sprinting toward the portal. It pauses for 2 seconds, then dives inside. That is definitely a person, someone whispers. There is no doubt about it, since no zombie could ever move like that. Director Joe leaps to his feet, ordering the tech to rewind and freeze frame. 3 seconds later, the screen freezes on a blurry shape in the mist. Despite the fog, the outline is unmistakable. It is him, Director Joe mutters, completely shaken. Jiang Wei stands up, calling it impossible, while Dong Yang scratches his head and asks if they actually know this guy. One calls him the top-ranked fighter, while the other names him the Corpse King. They both say it at the exact same moment, then slowly turn to face each other. Both demand to know what the other just said, their faces twitching in shock. Director Joe waves the analyst forward, admitting this really is the top-ranked guy, a face he could never mistake. Jiang Wei adjusts his glasses, a sharp gleam flashing in his eyes. After a tense silence, he reveals that this guy is also the Corpse King from first base. He explains they only saw him on thermal scans back then, but he would recognize that silhouette anywhere. They had it all wrong. The analyst claims the king is actually a survivor, explaining how he pulled a double S rating. Director Joe just shakes his head, muttering that it is impossible. As far as he knows, the guy only uses ice and foresight. But that terrifying Corpse King, specifically, he points out he controlled the undead and could teleport through space, brushing every single bullet aside. Those powers have completely different roots, and no way does one guy hold 4 distinct abilities. But Jiang Wei mutters in a dark whisper, if he can have 2, why not 4? Director Joe can only let out a strangled groan. And honestly, the guy is completely right, there is just no arguing with that logic. Deep in Zombie Canyon, my mechanical legion marches forward, cutting straight to the spatial rift. Sitting on a floating throne, the Corpse Emperor waits. My gold eye of insight snaps open to read his stats. He holds the title Mutated Corpse Emperor and a combat power of 3-star early stage. His list of stealable traits is absolutely loaded. A purple-tier zombie imperial body, a yellow bloodthirsty recovery, and a yellow sensory perception. And then, the 2 abilities that make my heart race, a purple emperor potential and a golden ancestral dragon force. That gold skill holds the aura of the primal dragon. It grants immunity to all evil, magic, and mental illusions, while the purple skill literally guarantees his destiny to rule as a true king. In my past life, this monster entered the battlefield with unbelievable power, crushing the Thunder God Director Joe in just one clash before heavy missiles finally forced it back into the rift. Seeing those stats, there is no shame in his defeat. 2 purple skills and a golden one on a single boss? That is terrifying, and I want every single drop of it. Behind the Monster King, a giant tear in space hangs open, pouring out an endless flood of undead straight into the canyon. The newly spawned beasts look completely lost, staring at my iron army, then back at their master's horde. A few even look back at the portal they just dropped out of, their brainless heads unable to grasp the situation. One of them growls out, "This is our turf." Another growls, "What even are these giant metal hunks?" Soon, they remember who they serve and quickly pack together around the Corpse Emperor in thick waves. Watching his army grow, the boss speaks up first. Calling me a mere peasant, he proposes that if I retreat with my Steel Legion right now, he will let the 2 of us coexist in peace. He makes no move to attack. This beast has actual brains. Scanning the battlefield, he can easily tell that a literal wall of steel has slaughtered its way through without a single scratch. His horde is just no match. Playing it safe makes sense. Knowing when to yield and when to stand proud, he tells me, is the true mark of a king. It is a bit surprising to hear a monster speak so eloquently, but I have absolutely no interest in chatting with a corpse. Seriously, once those skills are mine, it really does not matter who gets to sit on that throne. The outcome is set. This is a brutal survival floor, so why waste any more breath? I shout out the order to attack, and my iron forces open fire once more. To end this quickly, I summon a massive squad of T-800s, each carrying a heavy rocket launcher. The Emperor flings his arm forward, commanding his undead army to tear us apart, promising that whoever brings my head will rule 10,000 ghouls, but his only reply is a sky completely blackened by incoming missiles. The ground shakes violently as fire erupts into the blood-red sky. A minute later, the explosions stop, leaving the entire canyon swept completely clean. Only the battered boss remains. A few more zombies fall through the crack, but they are shredded by heavy gunfire the second they land. I calmly walk over to his crater. He is barely clinging to life, mostly because I intentionally left him breathing. With half of his body blown away, his broken shell suddenly starts to expand, and he gasps out that I am going down with him. A quick shot from my freezing beam is my only reply, coating him in glowing frost. Within seconds, he is completely frozen solid. I kick a small rock off the ground, sending it flying right into the frozen statue with a soft thud. Tiny cracks rapidly spread across his entire frozen body until he shatters into pieces, spilling several glowing, colorful skill orbs onto the ground. The Corpse Emperor is history. I grin as I sweep up the traits, watching the panel lock them in. The gold power of the Ancestral Dragon, the Purple Emperor's potential, the yellow bloodthirsty recovery, and olfactory perception. Every last one is mine, except for that zombie Imperial body. I just leave it. My old traits are already fused or recycled back into the system, leaving me totally free to steal them all over again. Honestly, I don't need any of this junk, so I just dump most of it straight back for recycling. Trashing that olfactory perception skill at least snags me 2 extra trade points. Since bloodthirsty recovery is a one-time recycle, I hold on to it. Who knows, maybe it will make a pretty wild fusion down the line. I take one last look at the zombies dropping dead by the rift, then turn to lead my legion out. The leftover scraps? I just leave those for the military department like bones for some dogs. High above the other world, Director Joe circles in a helicopter. He is packed head to toe in a weird diving suit, with a massive integrated hood completely swallowing his skull. Anyone who watched classic shows would look, change the color, just add a horn to the head, and you see Ultraman standing right there. This prototype suit fights the poison mist, but they are nowhere near mass-producing it. Naturally, Director Joe is the very first guy allowed to test it out. His team desperately warns him that the mist will clear in 5 minutes anyway. The suit is unproven, and if it breaks, the poison will end him. He just shakes his head. He tells them not to sweat it because he got a new skill called Lightning Robe. It wraps his body in electricity, meaning even if the suit tears, he can survive the mist. Saying he is heading down, he grabs the zip line and slides out of the helicopter, disappearing into the fog. He lands, unhooks, and checks his gear. A small, satisfied nod follows. Turns out those nerds at the research institute are actually good for something. The suit actually keeps the toxic air out, keeping him safe for now. He turns toward the otherworld portal, purses his lips, pulls his long spear from his back, and moves in fast. He got the spear from the space. It is a special alloy that channels his lightning way better, squeezing out every ounce of his raw power. Right as he reaches the entrance, a dark shadow suddenly explodes outward, charging straight for him. His frayed nerves snap instantly into combat mode. Blue lightning explodes off his spear as he thrusts it hard at the oncoming shadow, but the spear tip slams into a single outstretched finger. That finger acts like a wall of solid iron, stopping the entire attack without even a scratch. Now watch this. The owner of that insane finger simply steps forward. An absolute mountain of force surges up the spear, blasting him backward like he just got run over by a semi-truck. He flies back until he slams hard into an old building wall and drops. His spear clatters away, his wrist completely dislocated. A freezing voice echoes over to him, warning him that whether it was an accident or not, this is his second strike. If there is a third time, the 816 Bureau will be looking for a brand new director. He looks up fast, but the place is empty. He slowly drags himself up against the corner of the wall. Sheer terror suffocates him because that pressure nearly crushed his lungs. He knows he is only breathing right now because that monster allowed it. Then a heavy sense of helplessness washes over him. He truly believed he had traded for real, unstoppable power this time around. He thought he could at least survive the gap between them. But that tiny shred of confidence is completely shattered now. That gap is not a step, it is a chasm. A single finger. That monster used one finger to brush aside his lightning spear, completely immune to any attack. Seriously, how many broken skills does this guy have? Why is the gap this massive when they all entered the space in the exact same batch? He sits in bitter silence, realizing one hard truth. If he is ever stupid enough to challenge that monster again, he might as well just dig his own grave. I activate my cloak and slip away from the tourist spot, finding a busy street to grab a cab home. Hours later, I finally walk inside. Winter Plum leads the three girls out to greet me, standing in a perfect row. My mouth twitches. This feels way less like coming home, and a lot more like picking out hostesses at a club. Of course, Winter Plum changed her outfit again, rocking a tight black crop top and white jeans that highlight every single curve. Holding a rag in one hand and a broom in the other, I have to ask why she changed again. She deadpans that according to a book on professional secretary skills, this outfit better flatters her figure and keeps her boss feeling relaxed. My eye twitches, and I am completely speechless, though I honestly cannot pretend it is a bad view. The other three girls are still wearing yesterday's outfits, also holding rags in their hands. I ask if they finished their online training, and they say they have got it down. I just nod, thinking robot learning is way too easy. I tell them to keep cleaning the place, then command them to work on acting more human, because their expressions are still way too stiff. Just one glance makes it pretty obvious something is off. They will never blend in looking like that. I dismiss the four of them, then walk over to Little Silver, who is plugged by its tail directly into the table's network port, and ask how our cash flow is looking. It reports that the total looted so far is 36 billion won. Every single coin was taken exactly as I ordered, completely undetected by anyone. Let's be real, I swear out loud across both my lives. I have never laid eyes on that kind of cash sitting in one place. I knew machines were good earners, but not this crazy. 8 hours max, and we have over 30 billion won, averaging more than 4 billion won an hour. This is way beyond anything I ever expected. Absolutely insane. I tell it to keep up the good work, then ask about Jotae, who should be landing pretty soon. Little Silver answers that Jotae arrived at the Bear Country's airport about half an hour ago. I frown because he was supposed to be flying straight home. Little Silver explains that he took a mid-flight call and diverted north to negotiate a deal. I narrow my eyes, feeling a bit disappointed that he did not land where I wanted. This means his reincarnation will have to wait a few more days. Keep tracking him, I instruct the system, and tell me the very second he gets home. I decide to take a short nap. A powerful physique like mine could go days without sleeping, but a solid rest always keeps you at peak performance. 3 hours later, I wake up fully refreshed, grab a quick bite, and begin handing out tasks to everyone. Little Silver remains on the financial network completely undetected, quietly funding every single project I plan to launch. Winter Plum stays by my side as my secretary, handling legal identities for everyone. I send Spring Orchid to establish our base, and Summer Bamboo to assist with research and development. They will focus heavily on those energy pearls. Meanwhile, I plan to slip Autumn Chrysanthemum in among the high officials, using the face of a mechanical control evolver to spy on the government. I wrap up a few more details and send them right back to practicing how to act human. 3 whole days flash by. Jotae finally returns home, only to divert straight to Dragon City. I am completely done waiting, so I have Little Silver call him up under his father's name and order him to head straight to Hong City. During those exact same days, strange videos start viral, spreading across every platform, and guys, they all show the exact same terrifying thing. A golden wall of light rises along national borders, sealing one country off from another. Absolutely nothing can shatter it, even high-tech missiles fail to leave a scratch. Global trade grinds to a halt, leaving every nation completely isolated. Countries with working satellites manage to keep their domestic networks up, while those without them go completely dark. The national borders have officially descended, exactly like I warned. Over in a secure conference room in Dragon City, the top heavyweights gather once more. After exchanging a few quick words, they fall dead silent, staring intently at the massive display screen and waiting for my broadcast. Every single thing I warned them about has turned out true. Doubting me is no longer an option, and thankfully, they do not have to wait long. The main screen suddenly flickers, and a young man calmly petting a cat appears. Yes, that is me. Elder Joe smiles and says my young friend has finally shown his true face, then asks for my name. Yuan. I tell him there is no point in hiding now that the timing is perfect. My power is more than enough now, and those borders are here. There is no leak left to fear, and their trust is already mine. So what would hiding even buy me? He calls it a fine name, saying that achieving this much at my age guarantees a pretty limitless future. I flatly tell him I have no taste for official flattery, so he needs to get straight to the point. My bluntness catches him completely off guard, but he takes no offense and simply smiles. He agrees that the borders are here, proving the prophecy. Now that they finally believe me, he says we can work together and invites me to name my terms. I immediately take him up on that offer and name my price. I want one of their military bases, specifically the one over at Samsung City. The screen immediately splits to display a map with a red ring circling the ground. After all, constructing a massive base requires a broad stretch of land cleared through the proper official channels. That usually means endless red tape and bureaucratic procedures taking a month at least, even with plenty of money smoothing out the road. Plus, the very moment construction begins, the industrial inspectors and tax collectors will come knocking. It is way too much hassle, and I simply cannot wait. So I just demand the land outright. Besides, an existing military base is the cleaner choice. It is easy to remodel and very quick to set up. And honestly, who on earth would dare walk in to inspect a military base that is still under construction? Elder Joe's face turns grave, his gaze deepening. He never thought I could possibly learn about that Sanong City base, and in a single instant, his estimate of the power backing me climbs by another massive notch. He grants it. The base is mine. He promises to pull all station soldiers out within 2 days and hand over the keys on the 3rd. I smile and tell him he is a pretty straightforward man, then invite him to ask his questions. We want to know, he says, about the creature hiding in that next spatial rift. Without missing a beat, I tell him it is a vampire, fully exposing the beast because this entire partnership runs on shared interest and the mutual trust we are building. The room echoes the word, muttering and asking if I mean those winged bats the foreign churches fear. I can confirm they are indeed those very bats, though I cannot promise how strong they are inside the space or if they match the old legends. Elder Joe asks how strong they are and what powers they have. I tell him the system rates them at 3 stars. Their abilities are exactly what the old stories say: super speed, shape-shifting, blood absorption, flight, and all the rest. The whole room gasps at the mention of 3 stars. After all, even Director Joe, the military's top combatant, barely scrapes by at 2 stars despite eating every energy pearl he can find. That 1-star gap is a massive canyon, and their faces sink. Director Joe asks the obvious question: a monster that strong must have some weaknesses, and do they match up with the old folklore? I confirm they do. Despite being a 3-star creature, the vampire relies almost entirely on its insane speed to fight. Its raw physical power actually falls short, and its weaknesses are pretty glaring. Garlic, crosses, holy water, scripture, silver, ultraviolet light, and even lightning. Every single one of these causes devastating damage to them. But get this space actually comes with helpers, making it way safer to deal with than that mechanical one. The room relaxes, and Director Joe lets his guard down, until his strategist catches my words and asks what helpers I mean. I only smile, and let the question hang in the air, turning back to Elder Joe with my own terms. I tell him I need raw ores, copper, iron, and tin, and ask what he thinks. He blinks in surprise, then laughs, telling me to write down a list, promising that if it is reasonable, he will make it happen. Amused, I call him a straightforward partner, and promise my assistant will send over the details. It is just common metals, nothing rare. He waves it off as an easy favor, and urges me to continue. Since I got what I wanted, I do not keep them waiting. I explain that the first 3 spaces were simply training grounds meant to help beginners get their bearings. Nothing more serious than that. Those basic daily tasks were simple, but starting from this 4th space, everything changes completely. Local factions fighting the monsters will now appear inside, and they can think of these groups as non-player characters. This time, besides the vampires, human factions of non-player characters are actively warring against them. Think vampire hunters and holy churchmen. 10 minutes later, I end the call and stretch. My job is done, and the rest is up to them. Once this upcoming trial starts, we should see quite a few new experts rising to the top. By the next day, the government announcement lands. It details the new border and breaks the news to the public, since there is no hiding a massive wall of light everyone can see. Led by the 816 Bureau, cities across the nation establish their own management hubs and invite applicants with some pretty tempting benefits. Free housing, complete medical coverage, and a starting salary of 10 million won a year are on the table. Evolvers sign up immediately. Almost overnight, any family with an awakened member becomes the talk of the town, showered in endless praise. Their social status begins to skyrocket all over the country. Just like that, the money-based old world starts to crack, and a new era ruled by evolvers takes over. Little Silver alerts me that Jotei has finally appeared. I order it to pull its scouts back, saying I will handle it, and end the call. On the video feed projected by the cat, a car drives through the streets. Inside is indeed Jotei, the target I lured to Hyong City. In this territory, Pingho's network is strong enough that he tracked Jotei leaving the airport the exact second it happened. But thanks to Little Silver, I have monitored his movements the entire time without needing Pingho's help. I watch his vehicle enter a private villa gate, then look up at the stormy, pitch-black sky. It is a perfect night to get things done. Inside the villa, Jotei leaves his bedroom holding his phone, freshly showered and satisfied. Through the open doorway, the room behind him is a mess of whips, chains, and candles. A bruised and wounded woman lies motionless on the bed. The polite, elegant act from the airport is completely gone. Now, only a cold, chilling presence leaks from his skin. Entering the living room, he sits down and sips water from Butler Gang while frowning at a list of missed phone calls. He complains about why his father forced him to rush to Hyong City, only to ignore him completely the second he got here. Butler Gang bows, murmuring that he cannot guess the patriarch's plans, though it must be an urgent issue, probably related to the border. He adds that it was a blessing they were called back because just a day later, the barrier would have sealed them outside. Jotae nods, admitting it is true, and plans to contact his father tomorrow. He orders the butler to clean the bedroom and bring 2 girls tomorrow, as this one was simply too fragile. Butler Gang smiles and bows, saying that a pair of clean sisters just arrived, so he will send them up. Jotae smirks back, saying sisters are quite nice, and admitting the thought of them makes him pretty impatient. Then the front door bangs open. Jotae's face ices over as he turns toward the entryway, ordering one of his men to go check it out. There is no need for that, I announce, stepping inside with Winter Plum right by my side. After all, I came here for someone. Jotae stares at me, but his eyes quickly slide over to Winter Plum. They light up with pure greed. To him, she looks absolutely top tier, and just looking at her makes him anticipate some real fun. Winter Plum does not even spare him a single glance. In her eyes, her boss is the only one who matters. Butler Gang steps forward with pure hostility, demanding to know who I am, who let me in, and where the security guards are. I ask him if he thinks they all died out there, pointing out that I am already standing right here. My gaze never leaves Jotae. What does he think happened to those guards outside? Honestly, he looks quite a bit younger than the version of him in my memories. Those words completely drain the color from Butler Gang's face. Fear starts kicking in. But then, he remembers exactly whose ground he is standing on and what his position is. He stiffens right up, warning me that this is the Joe family villa. He tells me I am trespassing and asks if I even know the consequences. He wants to say more, but Jotae cuts him off, telling Butler Gang that is enough. There is no anger on Jotae's face, only a relaxed indifference as he sits with crossed legs, sizing me up. He takes a wild guess, saying that someone must want him dead. So the only real question is the price on his head, and he is willing to pay triple. He just needs a name from me. These tiny setups mean nothing to him, since there is nothing money cannot solve. And if there is, he will just throw triple the cash at it. Amused, I ask if he can actually cover $30 billion. Seeing him face to face again, I am really in no rush to end his life. His expression shifts instantly. He asks who could possibly pay that much for his life, and just how badly they want him wiped out. I can see his mind racing. Very few people in the entire Dragon Kingdom have that kind of wealth, let alone hold a grudge that deep. After running through the options, he asks if his second brother sent me. That is the only name that makes sense, his own half-brother, the one with the most to gain from his demise. Good, very good, he thinks. That kid really thinks his wings have grown enough to hire a hitman on his own blood. Watching his eyes turn freezing cold as he clenches his teeth, I put on a look of fake regret, saying it seems young Master Joe cannot cover the 30 billion after all. What a pity. He snaps that he can easily cover 30 billion. But whether I can actually walk out of here alive is a completely different story. He orders Butler Gang to finish us, but keep the woman alive. In a single breath, every trace of that butler's gentle look completely vanishes. His eyes turn sharp as a hawk's. He digs in his heels and blurs across the room, thrusting a lethal, heart-piercing elbow strike right at me using his martial arts training. As he lunges, his entire body turns a pale silver as if dipped in dye, his muscles ballooning by a third. Butler Gang is actually an evolver. I meet his heavy blow by simply raising my bare hand right into its path. A wild, savage look flares in his eyes, shocked that I would dare block his attack like this. To him, I am just begging to die. His elbow finally connects, but the scene he expected, with my hand shattered and my body sent flying, never actually happens. Instead, it feels to him like he just slammed into the side of a massive mountain. I stand completely unmoved, not even bothered enough to frown. His confidence completely shatters right then. He is a physical mutation evolver, someone who can turn his body into solid steel and multiply his physical power. Yet even with that surprise strike, he could not budge me an inch. You can tell he instantly knows he is completely outmatched. Before that thought can fully form, he tries to pull back, but my hand instantly clamps around his throat. I tell him since he is an evolver, I will be taking his power. Then, I cast insight on him. The system panel pops up. His name is Gang Ho, with a combat rating of 1-star middle stage. His plunderable powers are a blue-grade steel body and a yellow-grade martial arts genius trait. The steel body power turns his entire frame into steel on command, boosting his defense and raising his physical strength with it. Meanwhile, that martial arts genius trait lets him master any combat technique at a speed far beyond normal humans. Before he can even process what I mean by taking his power, I lift him off the floor by his neck. My grip tightens with an unreal level of force, and his steel-hard throat actually starts to cave in. He managed to choke out a desperate plea for the young master to save him, but then his steel neck just crumples like an empty can. His eyes bulge. The silver drains from his body, and he is just a lifeless corpse in my grip. Butler Gang is dead. His 2 powers immediately burst out of his body, and I absorb them without hesitation. I open my palm and let the body drop as if nothing happened. Stepping right over him, I sit comfortably on the sofa and casually ask the young master if we can talk. Winterplum steps forward, gently placing her small hands on my shoulders to start massaging them. Seeing her act like a perfect secretary while I speak so casually completely breaks Jotei's composure. He is shaking now. He knew Butler Gang's true strength inside out. He was a martial arts master who awakened an incredible ability. In that steel form, he was virtually invincible, immune to blades, bullets, and easily capable of shrugging off explosive shells, and that very monster was choked out with a single hand while fully wrapped in steel. Terrified by my strength, he stammers out a desperate offer. 30 billion, no, 40 billion if I just spare his life, cursing his own stupidity for not bringing more guards. His family's money burns my hand. And besides, I'm not short on cash. Desperate, he begs to know what I want, promising anything he owns is mine. Smirking, I tell him he can start by taking off his wig, because I'm really not used to seeing him with such a thick head of hair. His face pales as he asks how I know that. Only a handful share his secret, meaning there is a rat somewhere on his own team. He peels it off. A balding young man is left sitting there, his hairline passable at best, but the crown is bare except for a few brave strands. A red rim shows where the hairpiece pressed. Without it, his whole noble act collapses into a joke. I can't help but grin. This is the exact face I remember from my last life. He asks what it takes for me to let him go, figuring that since I didn't kill him the second I walked in, there must be some way out, or he'd already be dead on the floor. Silence. I just stare at him. Just look at him here right now. Jotei hasn't even been chosen by the space yet, making him still just a regular guy. Staring at this weak version of him, the fun just drains right out of me. A desert eagle suddenly appears in my grip, leveled straight at his head. He begs. He screams for his life, throwing out 40 billion, then 50 billion. All of it. The gun roars. His head bursts, painting half the couch crimson. Jotei is dead. I stand there in silence, expressionless, before turning back to the door. Karma from my past life. And in this one, the debt is settled. Minutes later, the villa catches fire. The flames quickly roar out of control, taking hours to finally put out. But the grim news is already spreading like wildfire through the city elite. The eldest heir of the Zhou family is dead. Police comb through local security footage and find absolutely nothing out of place. The whole case is ruled an accident and closed. Over the next 3 days, I don't leave the house once. I spend every second training the girls to control their facial expressions, basically teaching them how to pass for human. With a lot of work, all 4 learn to express happiness, anger, sadness, and joy with enough natural eye movement to blend right into society. No stranger would ever know. And Winterplum, she adapts the fastest. She completely buries herself in learning the art of a perfect secretary, reading every textbook and even trashy novels about the job. Now she can switch from sweet to sharp, bossy to coyly soft in a single heartbeat. If I didn't know she was a machine, I'd probably fall for it. Just then, Autumn Chrysanthemum glides over, her entire body language radiating seduction, leaning close to my ear to whisper that the authorities finally reached out. The base is ready. We can take it over whenever we want. There isn't a single trace of robotic stiffness left in her looks or smiles. Anyone seeing her would call her a woman capable of starting a war. Each of the 4 chose a distinct persona to match her looks. Spring Orchid went for a delicate, refined, classic vibe, the untouchable first love. Summer Bamboo went fiery, rocking tight shorts, a vest, and leather boots, with an unstoppable, fiery young energy radiating off her. Meanwhile, Autumn Chrysanthemum spent those 2 days modeling herself after some legendary mythological temptress. Now, every single movement she makes is a perfect lure, practiced relentlessly day after day by all of them. You can't really blame me. My standards for beauty have been dragged so high that ordinary gorgeous women don't even register anymore. Honestly, I'm glad. Women only slow my trigger draw anyway. Back to the point. Autumn Chrysanthemum is officially linked with the 816 Bureau now, acting as my connection. And with her word that the base is ready, I'm absolutely thrilled. I tell Winter Plum to book the plane tickets immediately because we are heading straight to Sansang City. Hoang City to Sansang City is absolutely no short trip. It's well over 3,000 kilometers, too far for driving or trains, so we have to fly. Only domestic flights are running now, with international routes completely shut down and no plans to reopen anytime soon. I specifically chose this distant place for its terrain. Sansang City is nothing but endless mountain ranges, perfect for hiding a base out of sight. The ground is dry and rarely gets rain, making it easy to dig and expand our operations deep underground. Unlike Hoang City, where underground pipes are everywhere and you might accidentally hit a hot spring, the third spatial rift sits right next to Sansang City. Beyond that, there's another rift that spits out robots we can reprogram to obey us, giving us an endless supply of machinery. Plus, being far from the coast keeps it incredibly safe. Honestly, there was never any other choice. Once I go, I'm staying for good. Nothing holds me here anymore. Besides, where is a man safer than hidden inside his own personal fortress? That afternoon, I pack light and leave with Winter Plum, the other 3 girls, and our cat, grabbing a 7-seater van straight to the airport. On the way, we blow through more red lights than I care to count. The driver's eyes keep drifting to the 4 in the back, so distracted he blows straight through the red light. Autumn Chrysanthemum and Winter Plum are the ones turning heads. One is pure charm, while the other radiates mature elegance, making it impossible for any driver to keep his eyes on the road. Stepping out of the van, I order my machines to line up and head into the terminal by myself. I tell them to figure out how to get inside on their own, since airport security won't easily clear robots. Sure, Autumn Chrysanthemum has high-level clearance papers to get them through, but who actually has the patience to stand around waiting? Checking the tickets, I see that Winter Plum is booked in first class. It is actually the first time in either of my lives flying first-class commercial, though I have been in plenty of military helicopters and fighter jets. Might as well enjoy it. After all, my clean cash reserve sat at 300 billion won before the borders collapsed. A few first-class seats are pocket change to me now. I breeze through the VIP lane, boarding early to find a cozy private cabin with my own sofa and table. Honestly worth the price, so I lie back and relax. Just as I settle in, a girl in jeans and a white shirt behind me nudges her friend, whispering that there is a seriously handsome guy sitting right up front. The girl in the long skirt looks over, her eyes sparkling, and agrees he is gorgeous. She asks if she wants her to get his number. The jeans girl teases her. In response, Ryu Kiki rolls her eyes, telling her friend not to hide her own crush, though she might get it if she begs nicely. Go Unsoon scoffs, muttering that if she actually wanted his number, she would just get it herself. She then asks Ryu Kiki if he is her type, but a guy in glasses nearby overhears, his face souring instantly. He lectures Go Ansoon, warning her that she cannot judge a person based strictly on their looks. His voice drips with unearned superiority. Go Ansoon, the girl in jeans, snaps right back, telling him to mind his own business. She has always cared about looks first since she was a kid, arguing that without a handsome face, there is no point discussing character. Besides, she knows he is just flat out jealous. These 2 best friends are Go Ansoon in jeans and Ryu Kiki in the skirt. The glasses-wearing guy is Han Siho, Ryu Kiki's annoying suitor. Go Ansoon had made plans with Ryu Kiki, but Han Siho tracked them down and booked the same flight. Unable to shake him off, they just let him tag along as a walking credit card. That comment makes his face fall, though he quickly covers it. He scoffs, asking what he could possibly be jealous of, boasting that his family owns a massive corporation. Their yearly profits easily clear 1 billion won. This kind of real substance, he brags, is worth far more than a pretty face. Handsome guys are cheap, but a rare catch like him is hard to find. He deliberately raises his voice, making sure his pathetic boasting carries all the way over to my seat. He saw me looking around like a first-timer. With no designer brands on my clothes and a bare wrist, he probably assumed I was just some low-level corporate employee who could never compete with him. For a shallow guy like him, letting a chance to show off slip away would be a crime. Listening quietly, I quickly read the room, piecing together exactly what kind of people they are. But I am not his dad, and I have zero intention of tolerating his toxic attitude. I coldly tell him that if he cannot speak respectfully, he should shut his mouth. I remind him that loose lips sink ships. I let my cold gaze slide over Han Siho like a sharp blade, a very clear warning. Out here in the normal world, the law still rules, and people have to play by the rules. But inside the survival space? A fake like him would not last 3 seconds. Feeling the sheer weight of my glare, his face pales as an unexplainable terror grips him. Right behind that fear, anger flares up, but he keeps his mouth shut because my warning stare has already done its job. Some primitive part of his brain tells him that I am no ordinary passenger, but a dangerous killer. He hesitates, and beside him, Go An soon sighs. Seeing how easily my single warning silenced him, she completely loses interest in him. She jabs at him to just admit he is jealous, and drop it. Think about it, she is right, because a single stroke of luck in the survival space can net you over 10 million won in minutes. But great looks last a lifetime. Stung by her words, Han Si-ho snaps back that if raw effort paid off, street sweepers would be millionaires. He sneers that hard work is just an excuse for losers. As for getting chosen by the space, the odds are microscopic. And even if you do get picked, you either get forced to trade your freedom for a basic salary, or you keep scraping by. To prove his point, he lifts his wrist, flashing his luxury watch. It is a brand new Patek Philippe, worth more than 6 million won, bought on a whim. Meanwhile, he sneers. Normal people cannot save that much in an entire lifetime. He calls this true, hard power, bragging that the absolute happiness of money is completely beyond my imagination. He is still taking shots, but this time he is smart enough not to call me out by name. He might be a spoiled heir, but he is not stupid enough to ignore my warning. Still, he refuses to lose face in front of Ryu Kiki. He convinces himself that by not naming me directly, he still has a way out if things turn ugly. He stares at me, and seeing me turn his way, he quickly strikes first with a plastic smile. He apologizes, claiming he did not mean to target me, no offense. Getting the first word in to hold the high ground, that is the difference between a smart player and a stupid one. Looking pretty pleased with himself, he insists that either way, it is a plain fact. Money matters way more than looks, and if I do not believe him, we can run a simple test. Watching the kid strut around like an amateur brings back memories of my own long-gone youth, and my killing intent fades. I raise my chin, asking playfully how we should test it. Brimming with confidence, he explains we should each ask a beautiful woman for her number and see which one of us she chooses. I smirk and agree, mostly just to pass the time. His voice was quite loud, drawing plenty of attention inside the quiet first-class cabin. The other passengers are already showing that classic human weakness for some drama, and the bigger, the better. They size us up and whisper. A middle-aged woman leans over, asking her husband who he thinks will win. Her husband, a man in his early 40s with a prematurely thinning scalp, admits it is hard to say and depends on whether the girl chases money. Rolling her eyes, she calls that a non-answer but still presses him to pick one anyway. The rich guy, he guesses. She asks why, and he says the wealthy one has better odds because you cannot eat good looks, but you can certainly eat money. But look at this, he stops dead mid-sentence and just stares toward the cabin door. His wife asks why he stopped, but then she sees it too. A stunning blonde woman enters the first-class cabin, wearing a blue knit top and tight jeans. The long, sleek lines of her legs and her incredible figure are on full display. Her makeup is so flawless, she looks like she stepped straight out of a painting. Even the middle-aged passenger cannot help but stare, let alone the men. A second later, she gets quite annoyed about it and pinches her husband hard in the waist. His painful yelp instantly snaps the entire cabin back to reality. Si-hoan spots the blonde, his eyes lighting up. Next to this girl, his goddess Kiki looks incredibly plain, and those legs alone are worth the chase. He smirks, asking if I even dare to go after her. I give him a pretty strange look, asking if he is absolutely sure. Of course he is, he says, asking if I am scared. I laugh, telling him to go first because once I make a move, he will stand zero chance. After all, this woman is none other than Winter Plum. If I stepped in, he would literally have nothing left. Telling me not to cry about it later, he straightens his clothes, stands up, and walks over to her. Stopping right beside her, he asks if he can add this beautiful lady as a friend, flashing his expensive Philippe watch. Pointing at me, he tells her not to misunderstand because he is no cheap flirt. He explains he just made a bet with that guy for her number. If he wins, he gets 100,000, and he promises to wire her 20,000 of it. It is half true and half lie. To pry a phone number out of a woman this beautiful, the kid is already stooping to cheap bribery. The whole cabin quietly marvels, thinking the kid definitely has some real skill, and has done this many times before. The blonde looks over in my direction. I just smile, pull out my phone, wave it, and tell the beauty to put her number in. She tilts her head, looking incredibly cute and slightly dazed, making Si-hoan's heart hammer because he absolutely must have her. Then the gorgeous blonde speaks, telling him to get out of the way in an icy tone, though to his ears it sounds like heaven. He says okay on pure reflex, then catches himself, asking what she just said. She simply pushes him aside, walks over to me, takes my phone, and taps something in. Completely wounded, he demands how this is even possible. Why me? And on what grounds? She calmly reports that it is done. She hands the phone back and takes the empty seat right beside me. Yes, the gorgeous blonde is Winter Plum, arriving a step ahead of the others. Hearing the respectful greeting she just let slip, Sihoan's outrage instantly freezes on his face, rooting him to the spot. Since she just called me her boss, he stammers out a question, asking if we know each other. I take my phone, wave it, and tell him he lost. He curses, demanding to know if I am playing him since she literally called me boss. As stupid as he is, he knows he has been played, and realizes exactly what that look on my face meant, the look you give a complete fool. I quietly remind him that she was the one he chose, and I even confirmed it. He whines that I cheated, that it does not count, and that he will pick another. He goes totally shameless because losing like this is just too humiliating. He desperately scans the area for a fresh target, and look who steps in, a stunning woman in a tight silk dress, swaying into the cabin. She has a gorgeous face and a waist that moves like slow poison. He mutters that this is the one he wants, completely energized all over again. He is absolutely certain his heart is in love for a second time. Who cares about the blonde? When next to a body like this, she is worth nothing. Before I can even answer, Sihoan flashes what he thinks is his most charming smile. As she gets closer, his palms get sweaty with excitement and his heart pounds, that second surge of infatuation hitting him harder than anything before. She reaches him, and before he can even utter a single word, she takes the initiative herself with pure sweetness. She asks this handsome gentleman if he would mind stepping aside. Her voice carries a seductive lure that sends a thrill through every man listening, leaving him completely mesmerized. He hesitates, then nervously asks her if she wants to talk. He claims he has a bet going with that young guy, asking for her contact. Same routine, just with the payout bumped from $20,000 to $50,000. Since she looks mature, he is positive she will not turn him down. Are you trying to flirt with me? She raises an eyebrow, looking him over slowly. His face flushes red since he has never met a girl this bold, but he plays it off and asks if she would do him the honor. He offers his unlocked phone, but she just giggles, saying he is not her type and pointing straight at me instead. His face freezes up completely. Rejected immediately, he sullenly grumbles that you really cannot judge a man by his looks. He mutters that some guys wear entire outfits that do not even cost $1,000, cheaper than his designer sleeve. She simply repeats that she likes my type, reaching out a pale hand to gently push him out of the way. A total replay. This is exactly what happened with Winter Plum, and the guy has absolutely no power to resist her. She glides right over to my side, leaning in and falling into my arms, wrapping them around my neck while sighing that she twisted her ankle. He sees red, watching her drape herself all over me like that, and he is dying to scream at me to let go of the woman so he can have a turn, but he swallows the words. Then, his jaw drops even further as I roll my eyes and casually swat her right across the backside. I ask what she is making a scene for, telling her to quiet down and just go sit over there. In that exact moment, he wants nothing more than to be my hand, even just for a split second, because it probably felt incredible. Here is the crazy part, he actually stands up tall to defend her honor. He demands what kind of attitude that is, and where exactly I thought I was placing my hand. His shouting rouses the single guys in first class, who start muttering that I look decent but clearly have wandering hands and am about to get slapped. Even Gonsan and her friend, watching coldly from the sidelines, frown as their respect for me plummets. But she doesn't. No blind rage like they are all expecting. Instead, she pouts her full lips and sweetly complains that the boss is hateful and has no fun in him. Then she gets up, strolls over to the seat next to Winter Plum, and sits down. This gorgeous woman is none other than Autumn Chrysanthemum, and her words trigger absolute chaos. The whole cabin starts buzzing because she called him boss too. Now there are two of them, and nobody can figure out the young man's background. Oldley even admits he completely misjudged him. Someone scoffs that an ordinary guy does not have employees like this, while another sighs that the show-off is looking pretty pathetic right now. Sihoan stands frozen because unless his ears are playing tricks, she called him boss, just like the first girl did. He feels like an absolute idiot, dying a slow, public death right in his seat. Once Autumn Chrysanthemum settles in, I turn to Sihoan, my face calm as still water, and ask what he just said because I did not catch it. He opens his mouth but has no answer. Before he can speak, I wave it off and tell him never mind, because he cannot handle a top-tier woman like them anyway. I advise him to just drop it and listen, but once again, he is completely lost. And it gets even crazier. Look there, two more are coming. His face twitches, he turns, and his eyes practically pop out of his skull. Right there are two more world-class beauties, each with a completely different vibe from the first pair. One is soft and gentle. The other, pure fiery youth. The younger one in leather boots and short shorts radiates such a fresh vibe that he finds himself falling in love over and over again. Suddenly, something clicks in his brain. He slowly turns back to me, utterly defeated, and asks if these two know me as well. After hearing those first beauties call me boss, he does not dare look down on me anymore. He might not know how massive my business is, but it is clear I have got serious cash. Otherwise, how could I ever handle two stunning women like that? Goddesses like them are completely out of a regular guy's league. I just grin at his cautious face, congratulating him for finally speaking up. He instantly freezes right there. He bursts into tears, completely broken. He feels like the entire world is ganging up on him. Seriously, is a handsome face really worth that much? Talk about a brutal blow to his wealthy pride. But then, a pale hand suddenly pushes him aside. A cold voice tells him to excuse her and move. He is blocking the path. The two ladies breeze right past him and walk up to me. Summer Bamboo immediately complains that their boss did not even bother waiting for them, while Spring Orchid stands beside her. Summer Bamboo keeps talking while Spring Orchid quietly greets me. My head is already starting to spin. I ask Summer Bamboo why she is talking so much, telling both of them to go find their seats. When these girls are still learning to hide their expressions, they get so stiff that anyone can tell something is off. But once they master it, they build these fake personas and use me as their personal test dummy. Absolute nightmare. Summer Bamboo mutters under her breath, complaining about how harsh I am being before she drags Spring Orchid over to some open seats. Now, all four women are finally in place. Oh, and don't forget Little Silver. Since the airport doesn't sell tickets to cats, the poor thing got locked in a carrier and thrown right into the plane's dark cargo hold. The moment all four beauties call me boss, every single passenger in first class realizes I am not someone to mess with. Sai Hoen's face twitches through a dozen different emotions before he completely gives up and slumps back. He gives me a thumbs up from across the aisle, calling out that I played the fool just to catch the tiger. He admits he was totally blindsided and is fully defeated. After that, he sits staring blankly, questioning every life decision he has ever made. He doesn't even have the heart to flirt with the goddess Ryu Kiki sitting right next to him. Comparison really is the ultimate thief of joy. Ryu Kiki was a pretty, sweet-looking girl next door, but next to my four beauties of different flavors, she suddenly looks completely ordinary. I actually watch him do that brutal math in his head in real time. He absent-mindedly touches his own face, probably wondering to himself if a plastic surgeon could reshape him into the kind of guy women line up for. Suddenly, the announcement tells us to buckle up, and the cabin falls quiet. As the engines roar and we take off, the guys keep stealing sneaky glances. I mean, can you blame them? If they can't have them, looking is the next best thing. Go Sanson and her friend really wanted to ask for my contact details, but with four absolute goddesses surrounding me, neither of them dares to get close. Half an hour into the flight, the four women beside me suddenly turn around. Winter Plum leans in, reporting that something has gone down back in economy. Passengers are frantically sending out emergency texts. The cabin has been hijacked and my eye starts to twitch. I am literally just trying to take a normal flight, and the universe hands me a hijacking. This is the most overused action movie cliché ever. Asking her for the head count, and if there is a bomb, I tell her to contain the threat. If the plane crashes, it won't kill me. But a delay in finding new transport is a huge waste of my precious time. She reports there are 4 armed hijackers, one with explosives, and one who is actually an Esper. An Esper? That gets my attention, and I stand up. I order Autumn Chrysanthemum to follow me while the others stay. Her official credentials will make this cleanup much easier later. Walking into business class, we notice there is absolutely no panic yet, meaning the chaos is brand new and hasn't traveled forward. I also notice there isn't a single flight attendant in the aisle. They have obviously all rushed toward the back. As I lead Autumn Chrysanthemum through the cabin, we draw a massive crowd of staring eyes. The guys are staring as if their eyes are completely glued to her skin. Meanwhile, the women stare at me. A guy built like a tank is a pretty rare sight. Still, nobody dares say a word because a wealthy first-class passenger isn't someone to mess with. So, they just feast their eyes. At the curtain divider, a nervous flight attendant stops us politely, saying there is a minor issue ahead. Her worried expression gives it away, even as she tries to stay professional. I have zero patience for this. I give Autumn Chrysanthemum a look and ask the staff directly what are the hijackers doing right now. Their faces go bloodless. I bet they're wondering how does this passenger already know about economy, and is he with the terrorists? Before they can panic, Autumn Chrysanthemum whips out her badge, flips it open, and demands their full cooperation for an ongoing official operation. Her sweet voice suddenly turns cold and commanding. They stare at the badge, instantly relieved to see it stamped with the famous 816 Bureau emblem. The staff quickly spill everything: 4 hijackers, 2 men, 2 women, and 1 is armed with a bomb. One of the men has special powers, apparently knocking passengers unconscious from a distance. This lines up perfectly with Winterplum's report. I order them to head back, calm the business cabin, and let me handle the threat in economy. They trade anxious looks and nod, incredibly relieved to leave this dangerous work to real professionals. I lean over to Autumn Chrysanthemum and tell her to jam the bomb's detonator signal the second we move. Once that's dead, she can leave the rest to me. She nods in agreement, and we keep walking. I spot all 4 of them the second I step into economy. It's pretty hard to miss people waving heavy guns around. Golden light swirls in my eyes as I lock my special vision onto the 2 male hijackers. The first shows up as a D rank, with an early stage, 1-star combat rating, carrying just a single plunderable trait: wind control, glowing blue. The second is an E rank with no rating and absolutely nothing worth stealing. They are clearly brothers, looking so similar. The younger has stripped off his jacket, showing a back covered in explosives, though whether they are real, I cannot tell. Our entrance draws the attention of all 4. While the other passengers sit frozen in absolute terror, here we are, just casually strolling in as if those loaded guns are nothing but background furniture. The older brother barks at us, ordering us to squat down and put our hands on our heads, or he will put us in the ground. Then his eyes and his brother's gaze slide right off me, locking onto Autumn Chrysanthemum with pure greed, because honestly, neither of them has ever seen a woman this beautiful. I take a quick look at the 2 female hijackers, realize they are totally ordinary, and immediately feel at ease. Completely ignoring their guns, I just walk forward. The younger brother tries to yell at me to stop, but his throat suddenly chokes up like an invisible hand just clamped around his neck. Absolute terror fills his eyes because, as I keep walking, the closest female hijacker just ceases to exist. She disappears into thin air, leaving absolutely nothing behind, completely wiped from existence. What they do not know is that she just popped into existence right outside the plane, with absolutely nothing beneath her feet, falling 10,000 meters down as a sudden gift to the earth below. Back inside the plane, the younger brother rubs his eyes, struggling to process that one of his partners is just gone. The passengers stare at each other in total confusion, but beneath the panic, they are secretly celebrating. They quickly piece together the obvious, realizing this sudden magic trick has everything to do with us walking through the door. Their quiet whispering does not slow me down for a second, and with my next step, the second female hijacker simply vanishes. A crew of 4 would usually take over a whole flight, but after just a couple of steps from me, half of their team is already gone. I can actually watch the younger brother do the math. And man, he absolutely hates it. He knows people do not just vanish without some serious power at play. He screams at his elder brother that I have an ability and to freeze me quick, backing away in sheer panic. Seeing the real danger, the elder brother pulls him back, ordering him to keep the passengers controlled. He throws his hand out toward me, glare turning deadly as he demands who gave me the right to swagger in front of him. My feet freeze. Suddenly, the air around me thickens up like heavy syrup, dragging at my movements until I cannot even draw a single breath. I cannot get any oxygen, as if the cabin is frozen solid. This air control is actually pretty interesting. Keeping his gun aimed at the passengers, the younger brother grins wickedly and asks if it is getting really tough for me to move. He promises I will die in complete despair, while his brother snorts, a strange ripple of energy rolling off him. A second later, a tight cord of compressed air wraps around my throat and starts squeezing like a heavy noose. Not a bad technique at all, and he is actually using it pretty smartly, so I do not break free just yet. I want to see his other tricks, since this is the first interesting ability I have run into. Thinking back, I never heard a single whisper about these guys in my past life, meaning they probably got arrested or killed right after this flight. Powerful people are never satisfied staying quiet. They either rob banks or hijack planes. And right now, this elder brother has already decided I am dead. Killing intent flashes in his eyes as his psychic power heavily squeezes the air around my neck. A couple of seconds go by, but my expression does not even flicker. He frowns, realizing his fantasy of crushing me is failing. His cheek twitches, and he channels his remaining energy into the choke. His psychic energy pours out like sweat, yet I stay completely relaxed, telling him his little neck massage is officially over. If this is really his best trick, then he is done. I step forward, shrugging off his heavy pressure like it is just an old coat. His eyes shrink in absolute disbelief, his voice cracking as he asks how I could possibly break his hold. But then a cold shiver runs down his spine, and he spins around only to realize his younger brother is gone, bomb and all. Just look at him losing his mind, his eyes turning bloodshot with fury. The air pressure slams back down, but this time he sucks away the oxygen, swapping it entirely with hydrogen. And he is not stopping there. He raises his other fist, launching a heavy punch from across the cabin. I narrow my eyes, watching how the air warped under his hand, compressing rapidly as it travels toward me. It condenses tighter and tighter, turning into a high-pressure shockwave heading straight for my chest. An air cannon. Instantly, I understand exactly how it works, and right now, I am completely wrapped in highly flammable hydrogen. Once that dense air cannon hits, the intense friction will instantly ignite the gas, blowing me up in a massive fireball. This attack literally turns the air around any opponent into a deadly powder keg. With a power like that, who even needs heavy weapons? Seeing how hard he is panting, it obviously takes a major toll, but it is still impressive. I really like this ability. Someone who bends air can probably fly, which is incredibly useful 10,000 meters in the air. That settles it, I like it. With a thought, his air cannon vanishes, reappearing right in front of his chest. Before he can even react, the blast hits, sending him flying backward. A fist-sized hole rips open right in his chest, where I can clearly see his heart still beating. Before he can even make a move, a sharp needle of ice pierces his brain, instantly snuffing out his aura. He collapses to the floor as frost creeps up his body, freezing him solid like a statue. I calmly walk over to take his trait, then head back to first class while telling Autumn Chrysanthemum to deal with the cleanup. She promises to handle it, turning to face the terrified crowd. Flashes her ID, telling them the 816 Bureau is on official business and there is no need to panic. 5 minutes later, she returns. Done. By then, I am already busy practicing air control. A tiny breeze completely invisible to normal eyes spins and dances before solidifying right in my palms as I get the hang of it. Talk about a useful skill. The rest of the flight is smooth sailing, and once we touch down, a massive lineup of police cars is already waiting. The rest is standard routine. None of it touches us. Thanks to Autumn Chrysanthemum's ID. They just verify her papers are real and quickly wave us past. That is the quiet perk of having government status. We flag down a ride and head straight to the military base. And thankfully, this driver does not run a single red light, mostly because she is just a sensible middle-aged woman.